Let's try like that. Maybe that'll work. Well, let's try like that. Maybe that'll work. Yeah. So the difference between recording and streaming is basically yeah, I cannot put the same audio output on like one and second channel. The streaming has to be for both on the same channel. So I've been talking here for like 10 minutes and nobody could hear me. That is fantastic. Might as well restart the whole thing, or maybe I'll just cut it off later. Anyway, welcome to the stream. This is for the Venezuelan earthquake donation drive. There has been a earthquake in Venezuela 3 days ago on Wednesday afternoon. And I haven't had the time to do it before that, but the idea is to basically help as many people as we can. Even though the goal says 10,000, we're not going to reach that much. It was just there so I can put a number. This was done very quickly. And there's two ways we can donate. We can do it with PayPal, and you can do it with Wise if you have either of those. And we have a very trusted source in the United States and in Venezuela, which will be transferred the money through instead of a middleman, as normally it happens, right? So why Venezuela needs help? Well, the Venezuelan earthquake that hit Caracas and some smaller cities around happened on Wednesday afternoon, and it was, well, actually it was two earthquakes, 7.2 and 7.5 on the Richter scale, and the destructive force was massive. A lot of people, several tens of thousands, lost their homes. We don't know what the current number is for the fatalities. Apparently, yesterday morning it was about 300, and in the late afternoon it was already at 900. So we might actually reach 1,000, maybe more, maybe 10,000. We don't know. The reason I'm also doing this is because my wife is from Venezuela and she also has some family in need, and two members of her family already lost their lives, a distant uncle and aunt, and as well as a lot of people that don't have a home anymore to go to. So there's people living in the streets, well, not living, laying on the streets with their pets, and they don't have any food, they don't have water, they don't have electricity. And unfortunately, unlike Japan, which was also hit by an earthquake, like I think several hours apart, but the Richter scale was 5.6, which is what, 15 or 20 times less than a 7.6 or 7.5. The difference is that Japan has the economy, they have the government, they have everything that can do to help its own people. Venezuela, on the other hand, not so much. Unfortunately, Venezuela has been under a turmoil since the early 2000s. In 1999, a president got elected called Hugo Chavez, and he was a former general that unfortunately dismembered the whole country into pieces. He privatized all of the companies. All the import literally went to him and his goonies, as we say. The idea of Chavism was born. Like, it's not just communism, it's Chavism now. And unfortunately, the people, the lower class, the middle class, and even some of the richer class that were against him have suffered the most. And unfortunately, it's just been going downhill for them, right? Like, their internet is still from the late 90s, early 2000s at best. For example, we have 1,000 megabytes of internet speed. They still have it 1 megabyte. It's that bad. Apparently they couldn't even hear me earlier because the streaming setup was not set up correctly. Because when you're recording, you have to put your like audio from the PC separately from the one you're talking to, right? So you can edit it easier. When it comes to streaming, you have to put them both on the same channel. That's why they couldn't hear me. But anyway, I bid you all welcome to the channel. Currently, we have, I believe, 3 viewers, if I'm seeing this correctly. And if anyone else joins, I'll be glad. And if anybody can donate for the cause of the Venezuelan earthquake, that would be fantastic. If you guys want to discuss anything about Venezuela's history as well, or its, I don't know, nature or beauty or basically anything, we can talk about it. My wife here is also gonna jump in a few minutes, and probably just we can discuss a few things. I believe that if we just step together, we could help a lot of people. I know that this is not a channel mostly meant for like a live donation drive, but we're gonna try anyway. It's meant mostly for gaming. But this is a special circumstance, and if things are the way they are supposed to be, then let them be, right? She's ready, she says. Right, let me just move this out of the way so it's.
My dad is gonna drop in.
Oh, he is?
Yeah,
that's nice.
Just move all of this to that side, please.
Yeah, give me a second.
So when he comes, there's no mess.
All right, there we go. Okay. So let's see. We have concurrent viewers too. I wonder if I can actually see who is in the chat right now. Participants. Well, apparently I can't see that. So I can only see how many people I have in the chat right now, and that is just one. I think it's the same person that jumped in earlier. Let me see what kind of music we're playing. If we're playing anything at all. Oh, we are. Something relaxing. So the stream live stream is supposed to be done in a few hours. We're gonna go as long as we possibly can. Tomorrow morning we are off to church, mostly so we can pray for the people that have unfortunately lost their lives, and we can still pray for those that need our help. Of course, God has his own ways, and there's always a possibility for them to still reconnect even in the afterlife. Here she is, the Venezuelan wife. Thank you for joining me.
Hey guys, what up?
What up?
Hello, chat.
Hello, chat.
I'm sorry, just joking. Just
And you're completely black. I need to.
Can I see that? That's fine. I'm used to the color.
You're used. No, we're fixing that. That's a bit too much. Let's see.
Just put more light. What's such a problem?
No, because the blackness goes straight through you. So I need to lower that a bit.
Oh, I look better now.
Yeah, you do.
Hello, guys. Good to see you. It's Annie, Sliver's wife. Well, so far, I wanted to also join the stream just to share a bit. Maybe you have any questions about the whole situation. One of the reasons why we decided to start this live stream is because now my dad's gonna join later, by the way. Want to discuss a bit about the country, the situation, kind of end up if you guys would like, but mostly focus of the damage that the earthquake left. Well, the earthquakes, plural. Left, yeah.
Two of them.
Left of the country. My family, it's my parents, not my family. My parents are living with us so far for 4 years, but we still have family in Venezuela. Most of our family members are all around the world, from Australia to Ecuador to Argentina, the United States to Panama. I mean, they're all around. Spain as well, and of us here in Slovenia. And my dad's cousins, they didn't manage to go out on time. They were a big family located in Caracas. They lost their home. It was a house of 5 floors, and that's why not all of them had the chance to get out,
Yeah.
get to escape. When they said those 40 seconds, give or take, that it lasted, it it felt like a lifetime. And today, thanks to the community, the Latin American community and the Venezuelan community here in Slovenia, we managed to help send donations to my dad's family. And sadly, it's also wise. I told Slivers to maybe try to get some more help. I wasn't very into it at first because when it comes to politics, I'm not the same person when I talk about politics. I can be a sweetheart in general, but when it comes to politics, it's like something takes over me. Like something rubs me the wrong way. You want to take it away?
In a way, that can be a good thing sometimes, and that it can also be a bad thing. It depends on the situation, right?
Yeah, but for me, politics, I think it's rubs me the wrong way, especially when we talk about the socialism, like Chavez used to call it, the socialism of the 21st century. That's how he called what we lived. The new socialism. Because it was a new what do you call it?
New communism.
No, new type of socialism.
Yeah.
The one that will work because Marxism works, right?
Yeah, of course it does.
For crying out loud. Sorry. See what I mean? Like, I can get very friendly, and then we talk about Chavez, socialism, communism, and I'm not the same person. I become sarcastic, sort of mean, sort of rude, and I don't want to be rude, but I guess it's all the mix of emotions that rub, like I said, the wrong way. Because one thing is like, one thing I can't withstand, and that's one of my major problems, is that, well, people here in Slovenia, or any part of the country, not the country, in other countries it's the same, because it's not just for me that has happened, so I know it's a thing from other people. People like to tell you how you should, like, they know more about how it is to live in Venezuela and how it is to be Venezuelan than the Venezuelans themselves.
Oh yeah.
Like, that's something it still blows my mind away. Like, I start posting videos about politics in January, after Maduro was taken care by the United States. Hey guys.
Hey, I'm sure. No, we live in Slovenia, so Venezuela is far away from us. We're
Very
safe,
far.
but we are, as we said earlier, we are doing this donation drive for the people that are living there, and also part of her family that got affected by the earthquakes.
Yep.
So for us, we're safe.
For us, thank the Lord, we're safe, and that's one of the reasons why I want to do this, because we feel very blessed that we're here, that we have the opportunity to have a better life than live in Venezuela. Slivers lived, had the experience of being in Venezuela for
the opportunity.
Yeah, it was an opportunity in some way.
It was an opportunity, and it marked me for life, honestly. Like, the way I experienced Venezuela, I was like, wow, it doesn't compare to anything.
No. And it is sort of hard because like I said, I mentioned earlier, we still have family there. And I was planning to actually collect funds, like I was mentioning earlier. I started making videos for politics around January after Maduro was taken care of from the United States, right? Because for me, that day, I don't know if I wanted to cry because I did, but I couldn't because it was like this feeling here that I wanted to puke on my guts. I felt like I was gonna get sick from my stomach, but at the same time, it was a joy in between. Because, like I mentioned to other people, like I was mentioning earlier, of people are telling me they know more Venezuela than I do. They know the situation better than I do when they had never even been there, never been to a communist country, never been to a socialist country. Because people are saying, oh, but Europe is socialist. It is not communism. That's something different. And it's different. Like I said, it's not the same. But okay, we're not going to discuss about socialism right now and communism. But my point is that when he got taken, we were celebrating. We were so happy. And people were telling me, like when I posted the video of the whole thing, like I make a summary of what happened and everything. When I made the video and I posted it, people were telling me, like literally saying, fuck fascism, fuck Yankees, like saying all those kind of things because the United States intervened.
Yep.
Oh, they just want your oil. Oh, and that's what it hit me most when they said they just want your oil and your resources.
Where do you think it's been going all this
And
time?
I'm like, are you blind? Like China is we've been controlled by China for the past 15 to 20 years.
It wasn't just China, Russia, Iraq, right? Iran or Iraq?
Iran. We've been having also like
the communist countries, basically.
Yeah, and terrorist organizations. They've been under like taking also like having their they're like they are allowed to go freely in our country. And people are telling me, oh yeah, they were with Maduro. Why? Because they like his personality, because they wanted the recipe to make arepas, because they wanted to learn how to make tequeños, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe dance some cumbia? Maybe, I don't know, like something cultural, right? That's why they were supporting Maduro.
No, they definitely like the gaitas, they enjoyed
yeah,
the gaitas.
They wanted to dance gaitas, those kind of things. Like it's like you're telling me that that the United States want us for the resources? Like, for Christ's sake. Yeah, because all those countries that have been taking over all our gold, all the gas, and making this man to continue rule the country.
Making him richer.
Making everybody from the government richer, corrupted. The corruption was a normal thing. And they're telling me that, no, I cannot be happy. It was very frustrating when it was January. And people expect that, oh, Trump hasn't done anything. And I don't like to talk much about Trump because I don't like to talk too much about United States politics because I'm talking about my point of view of my experience as a Venezuelan in Venezuela. Growing up in socialism, the new socialism of the 21st century, that's how Chavez called it, like I mentioned earlier. Because I cannot really give a big explanation about the current situation in the States and its president, but it was the only president in the past 27 years that we endured dictatorship that managed to do something for our country, whether it has economical, political reasons. Somebody did something. Like the opposition has been tried for 2 decades to try to take Chavez and Maduro out of power in the most democratical way. They went to the UN. They went to the OEA. How do you call that OEA in English? The Organization of American States? How do you call it?
I honestly don't know.
Well, anyway, that organization that it's very in Spanish is OEA. They went to The Hague to open a case against Chavez, against Maduro for its violation of human rights.
And it didn't do anything.
And nothing happened. Nothing happened. Nothing changed. Everything just
Hmm.
stayed the same and worse and worse. People kept migrating to other countries. Our country became even like oh, couldn't like like people couldn't afford almost anything. People that could survive better was because families were helping um, from from other countries. They could send money and help them. Otherwise, with that minimum salary, how can you survive? When I left when my minimum salary was $10 per month, 10 to 15, depending of how many hours I would do in the hospital.
And everything that was imported was the same price as in a normal country in Europe. Like, I don't know, meat, certain types of food that you normally couldn't get in Venezuela.
Yeah,
Besides, farmers couldn't even do anything because it was not worth it, right? Everything got destroyed. Uh, the only thing you could buy is probably just fruit for the same price, and even that was hard.
and that's why poverty became worse. Kids were more neglected. Um, I was working as a doctor there for 3 years, and I love my job. I don't have any regrets whatsoever, because I think that you have to have a vocation. How you say that? Like a calling. There you go, calling,
Hmm.
a calling for it. Otherwise, I even though I was getting paid to $10 to $15 a month, which was nothing.
Not a
My
lot.
father was a pediatrician and an otologist, and he was earning 30 at most
Two PhDs for 30 euros,
dollars. Yeah, and we managed to survive because my mom also was she was hairdresser, and she was making more money than my dad.
Yeah.
Yes, it made no sense. More money than me as well. So with that, we managed to survive, and of course, my husband back then we were just dating. He was helping me. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to go through like on normal circumstances, no. And it was very bad. And that's one of the reasons we left. I wanted to. A part of me wanted to stay because home is home, But we're not living. We were just surviving constantly. And if we wanted to have a family, if we wanted to buy a house, we wouldn't be able to afford it. Yeah, if he would have, for example, bring his if Slivers would have brought his savings, and we could maybe get an apartment, we can maybe get somewhere. But and then what? We after he spent out his earnings, then what? It's just survival mode,
Yep.
because he will still be like earn money from our salary, which was back then
Hmm.
10 euros,
Yep.
$10 per month.
And I'll probably get even less if I start working there.
So it was a situation where we thought that it's better to leave, and that's one of the reasons we brought my parents here, because situation, like I said, it became worse and worse after Chavez died and Maduro took over, and it was changing one bad man to another one that was just like a puppet from other organizations. And thank the Lord you're here. And we're very grateful that they are, because we know they're not gonna get killed. Like, I was always constantly scared that they will get robbed, get killed, um, have have to go to the hospital and won't be able to afford things, and that we won't be able to send help. And now, since they're here, everything just feels in place. But then this whole earthquake happened, and then we realized we still have family there. Thank the Lord, my grandma, she's in a city where it wasn't hit,
It's far away. Yeah. 12-hour
and
drive.
I was very relieved that nothing happened there, because she's still alive. She's not. She's 101 years old, and she's still lucid. She knows me. She remembers me. We talk, and she's very loving. So I'm very grateful nothing happened to her, and my uncle who takes care of her. But my dad's family, they didn't have the same fate, because they were all living in Caracas. Like I mentioned earlier, not all of them escaped. from the house that we're living. And from where they are, the neighbors, at least 6 families lost everything. And we found out today. I think that's also why I changed my heart about the whole stream. Because after we sent the help through, like I mentioned earlier, through the Latin Americans and Venezuelan organization here, that they decided to, well, not they, but we all decided to help um, friends, families, neighbors that we know that they need help. Um, then, thanks to them, we managed to help my dad's family. But by the time I got the help, I got the donations. It's not. I know it's not in our power. Yes, but
There's always something happening in between.
yeah. Then we found out that the cousin, my dad's cousin, and well, both cousins, they have died.
Yeah.
But they only found the body of the first one. She's a female. Rest in peace. So they're in the morgue. When I managed to contact her, she already told me that she was gone. They found her body. It was more than 72 hours that she was buried under the house. And now they're in the morgue, trying to figure it out. It's collapsed. Everything's collapsed, and they're trying to figure it out a way to bury her. And while there's still a body under the house, and he's gone because they know where he is, but they don't have the equipments to get him out. They haven't been able to get it yet. Hopefully today they'll manage to, because dealing first with one body and then the others, like, you make the wound hurt even more. And I feel so sorry for them, because not just because they're family, but not human beings should pass through here and through this. And the fact that in Venezuela you don't have electricity 24 hours, for example, you have one of the worst internet in the world. You have to wait for water to come, because the water also doesn't run 24 hours. You have to also look for gas, because the gas is
in gasoline.
Gas, it's very hard to find.
Gas,
it's inexpensive.
Gas still runs, unfortunately, through the houses.
Not everywhere.
Not everywhere.
No. Like, for example, in my area, it runs most of the places, but in Caracas, not everywhere, because they're not a petroleum city. So that's the reason why it doesn't run everywhere there. So they all struggle with just the basic needs, and now they have to restart over. And like I was telling my husband,
how can you start over in a country when everything else is already in ruins?
Yeah.
And not because of the earthquake, because of the economical and political situation.
Yeah. Thanks to Chavez, and thanks to Maduro and their gangs. So it's hard, because I'm very happy when we got some money to help them, and when everybody just starts helping others, we feel better, because we feel we're putting some part of our grain, a part of a grain there, to help in any ways.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you see the aftermath, like, yes, we're helping now, but what about tomorrow? Like, they have nowhere to go, because our family that still live in Venezuela, they don't live there. Like, my uncle that lives in Cabimas, they are for like 14 hours away from
Caracas.
13 to 14 hours away from Caracas.
Mm.
And how can they travel if, like, Venezuela lives in another era where cars are super old, transport is awful, and everything's super expensive, unaffordable.
And the airport in Caracas is also closed because of the damages. So
yeah, I got hit very hard. So So it's like, how can you? What can you do for now? You know, it's it makes you question a lot. I mean, at least to me, it makes me question a lot about my own life, like what we have, what we can have one day, and makes me appreciate more the things that we have now. And that's why we're here, because we want, first, we're grateful, and two, we would like to help, because not just my family, because that's just one of thousands
Mm.
of Venezuelans that are struggling right now. The government's not helping either. They're trying to how you say that, like politicize the the whole of running funds and everything, like donations and everything has to be through that. Um, so right now, I'm very grateful to the government of um, El Salvador. The president Nayib Bukele has helped so much, and we're so grateful for him and his team to rescue the people that has been rescued so far by them, and also to the United States for sending help. Mexico, um, also being being there. Other countries have sent a lot of help too. So right now they're trying still to politicize everything. The this president Delcy Rodriguez, president.
Vice president still.
Um, she's the one in charge for now, and a lot of things. A lot of things have changed, even though it doesn't look that way. For us, it does look something because, for example, I was talking today to my daughter's godmother. Um,
Yeah, she's more involved in those kind of
yeah, she's more involved in the whole organizations and everything, and she was telling me that it's impressive how much the airport alone has changed. The airport, well, before it was hit by the earthquake, but they started moving from all official, official buildings, including the airports, the banks that are run by the government, boats, like the boat centers that are also run by the government, the the tribunals also run by the government. Everything literally is being run by the government. All those buildings have removed all images of Chavez and Maduro. Gone.
It's something.
And yes, it might seem little, but I'm so surprised they actually remove all of that, because these people, like, that had like Chavez tattoos everywhere. They tattooed Chavez everywhere you would go, like, you know, like brainwashing you constantly, that you have to accept him, that he was awesome, that he was an inspirational leader and stuff like that. All kinds of things.
It kind of reminds you of how North Korea is, right?
Yeah.
Like we were discussing this earlier, that if Venezuela would go through another 5 to 10 years of what they were already going through, well,
Maybe 15.
North Korea would have been even in a better spot, because even though you're not supposed to do a lot of things there, if you just follow the rules, you get provided by stuff, right? But yeah, it's still communism, a closed
Because
country.
I think in our Korea it's more like totalitarianism.
Totalitarianism, yeah.
Totalitarianism,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And I think the Venezuela was just getting as close to Cuba as possible. I think if you were given like 5 to 10 years, would be the same.
Mm.
And Cuba is also in a very hard spot. And I love my Cuban brothers, and even though their government is one of the worst things in this world, I am so respectful to my Cuban brothers, because since the beginning, since Chavez took over, they warned us, they told us he's Chavez's Fidel's pupil. He's gonna run the country the same way they did to us.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of Venezuelans said, no, that's not gonna happen to us. Venezuela is not Cuba, right? Look at us. It's close to them. And I really hope they also can have some change, because the people from Cuba has endured so many decades uh, of communism, poverty, so many things. And I wish nothing but the best to my Cuban brothers. And same thing happened in Latin America, you know, and like Argentina was going on the same direction as
Good,
Venezuela.
good thing they got a new president.
And I could think, yeah, it's a good thing they got rid of the Kitcheners, because they were the worst as well. And Argentina was getting close to Venezuela. Not the Venezuela of now, but the Venezuela of, let's say, 2015, give or take. They were getting between 2010 and 2015. Like, they were having problems with finding meat, having problems with electricity, sometimes with gas, you know.
Yep.
They were starting to have all the signals that nothing is working. Inflation, yes, and people started emigrating, because a lot of Venezuelans that were in Argentina were like, it's happening here as well. Vote these people out, because you're gonna end up the same way we did. And eventually they vote them out, and thank the Lord, Argentina is improving. But like I mentioned earlier, no country, I'm not talking about behalf of Argentinians, but no country that has suffered economical damage for a decade at least. In this case, Venezuela is being almost 3 decades, 27 years of dictatorship, where you cannot just recover in 6 months, for example. And same with Argentina, like, you can't just recover from the years the Kirchners were running the country. Pretend like Milei, which is the current president from there, can just fix everything in one term. No, I'm not saying it's not possible, but it takes time to build it up after all the damage that they created in the country. Same as with Venezuela, and it's been 6 months since Maduro has been taken care of. And things have changed. Not a lot of things have changed, but small things happen here and there. And we cannot expect, I keep saying, I cannot expect a day and night change when something that has been destroying our country for so long, it's just gonna be gone just for 6 months. Everything's gonna be fine. No. Especially because the people that surrounded Maduro are now in power. But then again, they have this, they're getting constantly supervised by the United States government.
You think they are? Doesn't feel like it.
It does. Look, I'm gonna give you an example.
Yeah, sure.
Have you seen the word red?
No.
Not anymore. There's no more red in the palace. Every time the United States and they send out a representative, they go walking like this. And it's so funny because Chavez will probably, I'm sorry for laughing, shouldn't be laughing about this, but Chavez must be turning in so many directions on his grave when they received the United States representatives in the palace with the red carpet. Nobody wore red. There were no pictures of Chavez or Maduro in that place. I was so happy. I'm like,
I mean, it's something.
It's something, yeah. And I'm very surprised that, yes, there's still a lot of changes I need to go through. Like I said, it's not gonna happen from a day or 6 months to another, but something has to change. Something has to happen when it comes to the elections, because this government was not elected democratically. Maduro took over the elections in
3 times?
Yeah, 3 times, but the last one was the worst ones because the opposition won and he still took over. So, and destroyed the evidence.
He didn't destroy it because the opposition still has it.
No, yes, they had it, but they destroyed it from where they had it, and thank the Lord, opposition still had some proof, and they managed to bring it to other countries, so the opposition could prove that the government was not democratically elected, but they still took over.
Yeah.
So because there's no free speech in our country, in Venezuela. And if you do, you get censored. And if you don't walk straight, then you also can go to jail. Like a lot of journalists have gone and are still in jail. This year, they
released a lot
they released a few of them.
Yeah.
To prove that they are doing the right thing, but they didn't release them all. They still have a lot of them hostages, military and journalists, lawyers, doctors. Can't name it, but
Look for Mauricio.
yeah, I know. He's not what is here, that's later. And yeah, let's just hope something changes in the next year.
Well, it's been
6 months.
2 years now since the election were
Stolen.
or what? Yeah, no.
Yeah, well,
Was
two
it years or was it last year? I can't even remember.
no, it wasn't last year. The year before.
2 years.
It's been
ago.
2 years. Yes.
So yeah, on 28th of July, 2 years ago, it's going to be 2 years, and since Maduro stole it for 1%, so it was 51 to 49. But realistically, it was more like 80 to 20, or even more, considering the opposition had to get another candidate.
Oh my God.
That was not even known to the public, but they still voted him because they wanted everything else but Maduro, right?
Oh yeah.
If it was the original one, which she was cast out because of some issue they just thought up, and it wasn't true, obviously, then it probably would have been 95 to 5%.
It's just hilarious. You know, I'm sorry for laughing again, but remembering, like, how can you do that?
How can you do what?
No, not you. The government.
Yeah.
Like, imagine how rigged everything is in the whole country, how corrupted it is.
Yeah.
That you start taking the leaders slowly, like with the years. Each year, like, if there was a leader, they make them leave the country. So most of them get exiled. So there's nobody still in the country to be able to follow, right? And then the only one that stayed behind, which has the least popularity, let's say in 2012, no, not 12, 2008, give or take, when we voted for our leader to go against Chavez. She was the least popular. Well, not the least, but one of the least. There were back then 4 opposition leaders. We did a voting so we could have just one candidate versus Chavez back then. And I remember we had Leopoldo Lopez, right? He's now exiled in Spain. We had Capriles Radonsky, which now became
the meme.
He's now, meme, because now he is with the Chavistas, or with the government, after he was against them. So the bottom probably, like with everything they do. The third one was Maria Corina, which is the one that the leader that she was trying to run. And the fourth one was my favorite, which I think he's a genius, Diego Arria. Actually bought his book and everything, because that man is a genius. He did so much when he was in the United Nations representing Venezuela and putting people in The Hague against trial. That man was a genius, but he was very old, and people wanted something more fresh, something that could really work better with the situation Venezuela was happening. So I think that's why he was least voted from the opposition leaders back then. But like I said, Maria Corina wasn't the most popular. But since Diego Arria was exiled, Leopoldo as well, and Capriles became part of the government. So the only one left was Maria Corina, and by the time that Maria Corina, like her popularity grew so much because she was the only one left. Everybody slowly started leaving, and she's the only one that was standing still. And she became very adored because she never left the country, like she said from the beginning when she started being on politics. And
Yeah, she left to get her Nobel Prize.
yeah, she only left the country just to get her Nobel Prize.
Mm.
And I'm just so happy that she actually won it because that woman
Deserves it, yeah.
deserved it because she has endured so much to her family being on, like, in always on constant danger, herself as well. Most of her leaders around her start getting in jail. They were trying to jail her. That's why they managed not to put her in jail, but they managed to block her way to be a candidate. And that's why I was laughing earlier, because it's like they knew that if she would run, she would have won right away with a massive win. Sorry, but the problem was that since they blocked her, we weren't having no leaders left. All the others that were around her, they were not first that popular, and two, we wanted her. So they decided to took on a woman who was her teacher, one of her mentors at university, and then at the end, she got postulated, but they also blocked the poor lady that was never in politics. It was just an amazing professor and mentor to Maria Corina, and somehow they blocked her as well. So they got rid of her. I mean, they blocked her for her to be a candidate, and then Maria Corina had to find somebody new. And then they got Edmundo Gonzalez, who won for sure. And nobody really knew him, but he had a solid career through university, and like he was a man very well respected, a man with a coat, and very smart, very smart. And when she announced that he was gonna run for her instead, she was gonna have her support 300%. Nobody knew, like because he was not a big profile person. Nobody knew if he was married, if he had kids, what did he do before. And then everybody started exploring about his life, and the more we got to know about how the life of Edmundo was, the more we felt like he was the right choice. Like even Maria Corina trusted him, she had to trust him for a reason. So that's why people voted for him.
I'm still stupefied where she found him in the first place.
Yeah, yeah, everybody was. Because, like, when she found her mentor, oh, it's her mentor, like, even though she wasn't well known either, she was known in her own area of university and campus, but um, besides politics, like in this to the level to become a president, no, or mayor,
Not even
or
close.
anything political.
Yeah.
But
Maria Corina was famous enough since she's been fighting against communism like since 2002.
I think, yeah, give or take, yeah.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that a lot of people underestimated her, including myself. I remember I really liked her because I always found out that she's a woman with guts, but I always felt that she was a little bit inexperienced because, well, she wasn't given the opportunities. She wasn't as experienced growing in this political parties. Like, for example, Capriles, he was grown in political part, like grown in this kind of ambience. Leopoldo, same way. Diego Arria, like I mentioned earlier, he was from the previous governments, and he had experience. Maria Corina was a woman who just was elected to be in the parliament. She was one of the parliament members from my country, and she became popular because of her guts.
Mm,
But because of her experience, she was an uh, very experienced compared to the other members and the other opposition leaders. That's why her party was never that big. She had people follow her since she was on the parliament, but never as strong as now. That woman, wherever she goes, she's like a hurricane. It's insane how much she gave Venezuelans hope, because we lost the hope with Guaido.
Guido.
Guaido.
Oh, well, that was in 2018.
Ah, Jesus.
I don't
No,
even
no,
remember.
2020.
Oh, yeah, 2020. Yeah, the previous elections, basically.
1920. It wasn't elections. He took over because of the government um, wasn't following the constitution. So that's why he took over. He became the interim president. That at the end, nothing really worked out with that. Because, like I said, they were trying to do everything democratical, and nothing worked. And then at the end of the day, Guaido just decided to the towel, leave with his family, and leave the chaos behind.
And he went to the States.
And then he went to the States, and now he's considered a traitor to most of the opposition. Because people put hope in him. Finally, we got hope again. Since Capriles was defeated by Chavez. Nobody can believe that, but okay. At least not the opposition. So after Capriles and then Guaido, that gave us hope again. I even told my slivers that since Guaido is gone, nothing's gonna happen. We're gonna just become more like Cuba, and we're gonna just become worse and worse and worse, which we did. But Maria Corina never started fighting, and that's why I love that woman. I'm sorry if I become a bit emotional, but
That's fine.
I didn't know I could have hope again. That the country could be once again what it used to be,
It would be nice to travel without fears, to have a normal income there.
Yeah. And I'm so happy that, even though she's still not in a country, she's still around the world spreading our situation.
Yeah.
And she's still hopeful that something will change. And while she's hopeful, we're hopeful too. And I mean, when Maduro was taking over by the United States, I was so relieved, like I mentioned earlier, but at the same time, the only thing I wanted was Maria Corina to just go back. But they tried to kill her before she even went to take her Nobel Prize, so she cannot expose herself to danger in that way anymore, because she's the only opposition leader left. I mean, a big opposition leader, and we can just afford just to lose her. Because how are we gonna find a new leader if most of them are getting censored and or exiled? You cannot just work that way. And that's when you realize how much power and corruption is in the country. Like when you take over old organizations that are supposed to be neutral and you make them part of your party, of the government party, which makes them a part of the government, even though they should be neutral. When you take their position over entirely, you control the elections centers, you control the prices that are in the country, you have a black market, and you don't invest in your country. People don't have electricity 24/7. Some people have to be more than 12 hours without electricity, without water, without basic needs, internet, anything. And I just want to say that it's a lot of mixed feelings, but I'm just very grateful that we can do something today for the country. We can, maybe if we don't get donations today, um, what I want to do is also spread a bit of what's been happening, and a lot of misconceptions of the country and the government that has been there for still. And and also because I would like to keep helping like our family that's still in Venezuela, and help others to overcome this horrible event,
Mm.
and to help them anyways, because how can you start over in a country that's on the ruins, like the Slippers mentioned earlier? It's
It's almost impossible.
yeah.
You think you could get your dad now to talk about that as well?
Yes, I'm gonna work as a translator.
Yeah, and I'll move away.
I should get paid for this, right? I should get paid for this. I'm gonna be a translator.
No.
Anyway, before we decided to bring my dad, which hopefully he's ready, my dad was, well, he's still he's still a doctor like I am, even though he's not working like one, but he's on pension. A pension of $3, by the way, 3 to 5, I think, right now, per month.
Yeah, your mom
How
gets.
can you how can you live with that?
Your mom, I think she said she gets one.
Yeah, it's disgusting. But anyway, let's continue with that. Before I bring my dad, he was a doctor, doctor and pediatrician and neonatologist in a hospital in Maracaibo, that's my hometown.
Welcome, Alex.
Hey, Alex. And he was that, where he worked for more than 40 years. And he was also in a political party called COPEI, who was, we call it the Greens, because back then, before Chavez, we had two parties. That's the main reason why Chavez was elected. Because when back then, in the 90s, well, before the 90s, but before I was born, they had two parties, the Greens and the Whites. And it was like changing one thing for the other, to a point that it was just like a ping pong game. Nothing kept improving, we were just there. Yes, we had a good economy, but we could improve so much more with what we had back then. And because of that, people stopped believing in the Greens and the Whites. And when Chavez came to and rise on the 90s for the elections, I don't like saying this, but that man,
that's charisma,
had the charisma. That was a gift that I still don't know, like, how can you have such a gift and use it for so much destruction?
Yep.
That man had a charisma of a lifetime. He made the people love him, believe that there could be a change, that we could be great. We just need to stop voting green and white, and we need to vote
red,
his party. And that's where my dad, like I mentioned earlier, that he's coming. He was in this green political party, and when I was little, he started talking to me about when the elections were happening. My dad was green, but he was voting white because it was the only candidate that was against Chavez back then. And I remember he was talking to me, I was asking, why are you not with Chavez? Because I saw so many of our neighbors, family members were like, Chavez is gonna be the new face of Venezuela. Is gonna change so many things. We're gonna improve. We're gonna be better. And
thank you, Alex.
What is it?
It's fine. No, Wise. Yes, you need to have an account for Wise because it's like an online bank.
Yeah.
So PayPal, as well, basically you need an account, but if you already have it, you can use that instead. It doesn't matter, whichever you can, it's fine.
Yeah.
But thank you for your support.
Thanks again for your support, Alex. It means a lot.
And that's Alex called Captain Breakfast. It's not Vertigo.
I know Vertigo.
It's another Alex from Romania.
Yeah, I know. Captain Breakfast is from Romania. That I know.
Yes.
I remember. Anyways, like I mentioned it earlier, that's why I was asking my dad, why are people voting for this Chavez? And he was telling me, well, because he's know how to earn the people, how
Mhm.
to buy them. And I'm like, how? Why you don't trust him? He's like, he was military. He made a coup. Well, he tried, and not on 94 or 92. I think it was 94. Um, he tried to make a coup. Yeah, 94, 92. I don't remember exactly when. But he tried to make a coup against a president called back then Carlos Andres Perez. He tried to make so he literally was trying to get rid of the president back then. And then all of a sudden my dad said, so you think a person that was trying to get rid of a democratical government is gonna come with good intentions to be in power? He showed his true colors in the 90s. He's not coming with good intentions to be president. And that's why he didn't trust him. And people try to warn others, like, you cannot be
Mm.
a good person. When you're trying, when he tried to do the coup, people died, people got injured. Caracas was chaotic because of what he tried to do with the military, because he was a military officer back then. And he ran this mission to try to take over the president in the 90s, and it failed, thank the Lord. Then again, he the reason why people probably you might be asking if he was a criminal, because if you do that, you're being criminal, right?
Obviously.
But if you're asking why was he able to run as a president if he did something criminal in the 90s? Well, it was because the president before Chavez, his name was Rafael Caldera, he pardoned
Pardon
him.
him.
And that's why people, that man, rest in peace, that percent of people hate Caldera more than Chavez, because people keep saying he shouldn't have pardoned him, because if he wouldn't have pardoned him, he wouldn't be able to run, because he would be inhabilitated because he was a criminal. You cannot run to be president if you're a criminal.
Obviously.
So that's why Chavez managed to be a candidate for the elections, because he was pardoned. And then we end up in this.
Loophole of communism.
Yes. Anyways,
But
I'm
it,
gonna go get my dad, like I mentioned earlier. I'm gonna go get him. He was also a political, like I said, in a political party, and he was a member who tried to run against governors and mayors in my state and my city. So he had a lot of experience in the political way. He was also persecuted by the previous government before Chavez, because they tried my dad with his medical party. He tried to, which he managed to do it, by the way. Something I'm very proud. People at first, they're like, how can you support that? But my dad managed to, along with his party, to make but we call it hora cero back then. I think it was in the 91 or 90. uh, they wanted to raise the salary for the doctors, because the salary was getting almost even to minimum salary back then, which was still good salary. But if you're a doctor, how can you earn almost this? I think I'm calculating. I will have to ask him directly how much was the difference, but it wasn't by a lot of the difference like before. And they were trying to make the doctors earn like they used to before. So they start protesting, closing hospitals, closing consultation rooms, only working through on emergency calls, and they start closing the hospitals, ambulatories, and everything in a way for the government to listen to them, to give in into their demands. And because of that, my dad was politically prosecuted by, or not a mayor, or governor, because he was one of the members who was leading this party. At the end, he hit, and then at the end, they managed to get to meet their requests, their needs. So at the end, doctors got their salary increased, and he managed to go back home, because he was gone for a week, I think. I was very young. I don't remember much. Thank the Lord, because I don't think I would like to remember that. My dad being persecuted by the government and the governor. But he managed, along with his party, to make doctors earn good again, and the healthcare system, not just for them to earn good money, but they wanted the hospitals to be in better condition. They stopped, for example, they stopped having less surgeries because of they didn't have enough materials to make surgeries. Back then, you couldn't ask the patients to bring the stuff because this was not allowed. It was illegal. So they had to delay surgeries until they have their stuff. They stopped investing in our healthcare system. So that's why they only didn't go on this against the government just because they wanted their salaries to be better, but they wanted better conditions to work, better conditions on the hospital to have more surgeries, to be able to help more people, and also getting a better salary. And they managed to do it, but it it took a toll for the country as well. Anyway, I'm gonna bring him now. I'll be right back.
All right. We'll be right back. So, Alex, thank you for your donation. It will go through a good cause. I believe that through our friends that live already here in Slovenia, we have donated approximately 250 euros since Wednesday, but that was without a live stream. And anything else that we will get today, I will probably put a live stream throughout the whole night, but not with actually talking, just having the thing open so people can donate if they really want to, and see what happens afterwards throughout the morning. As she was saying, like, there's a lot of things that happened in the past 20 years that could have changed a lot of lives of Venezuelans if they went in a different direction, especially only caught the end of the story there, but it's something familiar and sad at the same time. Yes, it is. It's very familiar because it happens quite often in a lot of communist countries. For example, Russia in between the two world wars had a very similar development. Then you have Iran that has a similar development. Cuba is the worst example of them all. And then a lot of the South American countries followed because I don't know what what the people saw in the leftists that they would see that that's a better option. But, well, here's my father-in-law to explain more stuff. And I will leave them to it because 3 people don't fit on the screen.
Look at get the other chair so you can be here.
No, that's fine.
Alright. Hey guys! We're back. So, this is my dad. Papi. There you go. Sorry. Sorry, he was with his phone. So guys, this is my dad. His name is... ¿Cómo te llamas?
Osman Millán.
So this is my dad. He's Osman Milan. He is also from Maracaibo, same as I am. Venezuela. Okay, right now we're gonna work with Spanish and English translation, so we can get a bit into it. So, all right. Maybe if you guys have any questions, you can also ask us, and it would be very nice. And Slivers, you can also engage.
Of course. I mean, you can probably still hear me there, so it's fine.
Of course they can. Okay, what would be the first question you would like to ask, for example? You can go on.
Well, I already know most of the story. But if, for example, Chavez would never come into power and the whites and the greens would still be there doing whatever they would the country go in any different direction?
La primera pregunta. Si a Chávez no le hubiese perdonado, le hubiese dado el perdón Rafael Caldera, y no hubiese podido tener una carrera política, ¿qué diferencia hubiese sido entre los verdes o los copellanos y los adeco? Okay, I will translate ya, voy a traducir. So I was asking my dad, like as Sliver was asking, what difference would have been if Chavez would have been pardoned by Rafael Caldera and he would have been unable to run in any political party because he was a criminal. And would it be any difference if the country would have been run by the Greens or the Whites? So we'll see what he's gonna say.
Bueno, Rafael Caldera primero ya no era presidente por COPEI, porque él formó un partido aparte que se alió con las izquierdas, que se llamaba el Chiripero.
Okay. So he's saying that by the time that Chavez was pardoned, Rafael Caldera wasn't with the Greens anymore. He was from the Green Party, and he started turning more lefty with the party Chiripera.
Segundo, él primero lo que hizo mal fue la condonación de la, ¿cómo te digo? Condonarle su culpabilidad.
A Chávez.
Él no siguió las normas legales, sino que le sacó todas las culpas y lo dejó como si él no hubiera hecho nada. Entonces él, por esa causa, fue que pudo ser candidato. Si no, él no tenía, porque no tuvo juicio y no tuvo veredicto.
Okay.
Para poder ser liberado de cualquier culpabilidad, él tenía que haber tenido juicio y un veredicto.
So my dad is saying that if one of the biggest mistakes that happened was because everything that was done for Chavez, for him being able to run as in any kind of political party, is that even though he became a criminal by trying to, like I mentioned earlier, to have a coup against the president back then, Carlos Andrés Pérez, this other president, Rafael Caldera, pardoned him. But with that, Chavez never, even though he was a criminal, he never went to any kind of how you say that in English? I forgot that word. To a trial. He never went to trial, and he never had a verdict, like whether he was guilty or he was innocent.
If he was pardoned in the first place.
But then again, he got pardoned in an illegal way. That's what my dad was trying to say. That the way the president made it back then, Rafael Caldera, he pardoned him from all his culpability without having a trial, without having a verdict, was illegal. Was never heard of. ¿Tú crees que el partido de Chiripera tuvo que ver con que perdonaran a Chávez?
No. Lo que es que hubo una conjunción de complicidad entre muchos industriales, políticos, militares y hasta del mismo partido de gobierno de Carlos Andrés Pérez. Todos se confabularon para poner este hombre como presidente, porque él no era nadie y no lo conocía nadie para nada.
So my dad's saying that.
What was the question?
No, that if the Chiripera party had to do anything for Chavez to be like, if they influenced Rafael Caldera to pardon Chavez in the 90s. My dad is saying that no, he doesn't think that the party had to do with him being pardoned. That everything, like we mentioned earlier, in the Greens and the Whites, everything was, I'll give you this, you give me that. So we can continue being in power one over each other. So we can both be like either green, one government, and then another term is white, and so on. So my dad is saying that it was just all complicity between both parties, plus the industrial parties that were also going on back then. They decided to put Chavez on the spotlight, and that's why he managed to get pardoned. It was all like complicit between parties, and it's all political that way. Ok, ¿cómo fue tu experiencia previo al gobierno de Chávez con Carlos Andrés, Rafael Caldera, Rómulo Gallego?
No vivía porque
Ah,
es
no
fondo
viví.
gallego.
Ajá. Ahí te quería más viejito, perdón.
Ahora me estás embujeciendo.
I'm sorry, guys. Just I'm joking with my dad. I was asking for a very old president that he wasn't even born. I'm asking like how is the difference between those governments, but then again I was mentioning other previous presidents. But I added a new one just to see what his reaction would be. I'm asking, but the question is if how is the difference between those governments versus when Chavez landed in power. Entonces, ¿cómo fue la diferencia de cambio a nivel político antes de Chávez y luego Chávez ya en poder?
Okay. Antes de Chávez había más libertad. Había tanto libertad de prensa, había libertad de movimiento, libertad de pensamiento, etcétera, etcétera. Y el modo de vida era más libre. O sea, todo el mundo podía saber que tenías su trabajo, tenía sus ingresos que iban a estar siempre legales, pues, y dentro de lo normal. Cambió con el señor ese inconsulto, no se esperaba nada, porque él empezó a utilizar los organismos militares para manipular y manejar a todo el mundo, ahí haciéndose pasar por un tipo demócrata. Pero se sabía que, y se sabe siempre de toda la vida en todas las partes del mundo, que todo militar que quiere agarrar el gobierno no viene con buenas intenciones.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Okay, so first he says one of the biggest difference between before Chavez and after Chavez was that before Chavez there was free press, free movement, party movements where you could open your own party, for example. You have free press, there would be no censorship. People will have more free investment. You would have more access to investing, to be able to have your own savings, to be able to save money, to be able to afford things that if you work hard and you will continue working hard, you will have enough money to buy yourself a car, being able to afford an apartment, a house, anything, have a good education. Everything was more accessible before Chavez. And he also said that when he took over, one of the first things he did was putting the military on his side and because he was a military himself. So first he starts showing off as a Democrat person, which like he was in pro-democracy, where there was no communism coming, that he was not associated with anything communist or Marxism from like Cuba and stuff like that, and that he just wanted everything to be democratic. But my dad also mentioned, like I said earlier, that Chavez, since he was military, he tried to coup another government. If you're military and you try to take over a country that's being democratically elected, you're not coming with good intentions. If you want to take power by force and by violence, and people die on these events, and you don't have any regrets about it, that's not a good person that's coming with good intentions to form or build up a country. So that's why he said the first minute that Chavez was in power, he knew that there was nothing good gonna come out of it. Okay, Sliver, do you have another question, maybe?
Yeah.
Sure, go on.
So, elections in Venezuela every 4 years.
Yeah.
In those 4 years, when Chavez got in power in 1999, so the next elections were what, 2003 or 2000?
There were some referendums in between, but sure, go on. I get your question.
That people couldn't vote him out anymore and go for someone else.
Miki tiene una pregunta. Está preguntando si Las elecciones bueno, durante Chávez, el periodo era de 4 años. Y él está preguntando si en esos, por lo menos en el primer término o en el segundo, ¿por qué Chávez siguió en poder o la gente siguió votando por él? ¿Y qué fue lo que más, o sea, lo que más marcó para que él permaneciera en el poder? Porque nadie votó en contra de él. O sea, no es que nadie votó en contra de él, pero nadie lo superó a nivel políticamente. No hubo oposición. Una posición fuerte, pues.
Bueno, primero, Chávez ganó únicamente la primera votación. Inclusive la ganó optando, pues todas las encuestas que daban ganadora era
Hasta la Roma.
no, no,
La Roma era el que estaba contra
no,
Chávez.
pero esta muchacha,
La
Sáez.
Miss, Irene Sáez.
Irene Sáez, que ella iba
Sí,
así,
ella.
y entonces la gente, que fue cuando Caldera, después que la apoyaba, se
Se le
cambió
volteó
y se puso a apoyar a este hombre.
a Chávez, sí.
Y él se encaminó en hacer un referéndum. El referéndum que hizo perdió, pero él se metió por las leyes de la Asamblea Legislativa, que él manejaba eso, y le votaron y la hizo en contra de todo. O sea, y cambió la constitución y en eso se empalma con el inicio del gobierno, porque acababa de hacer una
Un nuevo
nueva
gobierno.
constitución,
Sí.
entonces de ahí se agarró y se montó. Y después empezó a hacer las trampas con las máquinas electorales.
Ajá, la Smartmatic.
Y ahí fue cuando siguió ganando, porque nunca ganaba.
So he was saying that when Chavez was elected the first time, those were the elections that he won by a milestone. Back then, there was another candidate on the opposition named Irene Sáez. She was a Miss Universe. She won Miss Universe, and she also was a mayor in Caracas. I mean, I think it was Chacao, if I'm not mistaken, but she was a mayor in Venezuela, and she ran to be with the party of the Greens. But the Greens decided to not support her at the end, and that's why the biggest back then the president decided Rafael Caldera decided to support Chavez instead of Irene Sáez. So because they saw the support on Chavez instead of her, they voted her out from the opposition parties, and then this other opposition leader came in to take over, he was also running back then to be the opposition leader, but he wasn't as popular as Irene Sáez. He had a good because he was, I think, he was the governor of Carabobo, and he had good he did a great job for the state. His son was also running for he was mayor. Like, that family was in political parties back then, so this guy became the new face against Chavez, and at the end, because he was a white from the white party, and the Greens were supporting Chavez, and directly, of course, at the end, people just wanted to vote out the whites, and they decided to vote for the new party that Chavez was in. He also was saying that the Chavez, when he got in power, he tried to make a referendum. The first referendum was to try to change the laws that we were having back then. The first referendum, he didn't win it, so that's why another second referendum came. Then this second referendum, he managed to bypass a few laws and do it through the parliament, and then he won that, and he managed to change the constitution back then, making it possible for him to be reelected indefinitely. And also he brought on back then it was very like it was a statement, if you would say it that way, but he brought electrical elections. And I mean electrical, like with electrical machines. So they start bringing these machines called Smartmatic from the company Smartmatic, and the elections stopped being like they used to be with voting with your
ballots.
Huh?
With ballots, yeah.
With ballots, and it became everything digital. So back then there was a statement because they wanted to make the democracy be more modern. And what happened was with this Smartmatic, then the elections started getting rigged because you could change the outcome. It's just back then people, because of this new company, people were thinking that, everything that was going on, it was fair and square. But then with the years after Chavez was in power, we saw that it was just more corruption happening behind doors. So yeah. Do you have another questions, lovers? Maybe.
No, because I know the rest.
You know the rest. Okay, I have a question though. So I'm gonna ask my dad about what happened with what made him what made him leave the country and come here after being working for, let me ask to be make sure. Papi, ¿cuántos años estuviste trabajando en Venezuela? Como pediatra.
Bueno, como médico, en general, con las pasantías y todo, desde el año 84 hasta hace 4 años.
Okay. So how much is that, baby, from 84 to now? I mean, sorry, so 2021.
From 84 until
40 y
2021.
algo, 41, 42, por ahí.
It's 37 years.
37? Okay. So I was asking my dad about like how long he's been working in Venezuela. He was working there for 37 years as a doctor and also plus as a pediatrician and neonatologist. But I was asking what made him leave the country. Normally people that tend to migrate from the country are mostly people that are younger, and normally the older generations tend to stay home. But so I'm gonna wait for his answer. ¿Qué te hizo venir? ¿Qué te hizo emigrar el país y dejar tu trabajo atrás, dejar tu casa atrás y querer quedarte acá, viviendo acá?
Sin decir mentira.
Diciendo mentira.
No, yo ya había cumplido mi tiempo programado, que eran 20 y pico de años, y sin embargo llegué hasta los 30 y pico, 35 más o menos. Y fue cuando estalló la supuesta enfermedad del COVID. Y entonces nada más que íbamos una vez a la semana a los grupos de guardia. Y de pronto ya no íbamos porque no había material, y como era un hospital materno infantil no iba a muchos casos de COVID, no se veían adultos, sino embarazadas y niños. A lo que terminamos eso, bueno, fue cuando ustedes nos llamaron para que conociéramos a la bebé, y aquí quedamos encerrados.
Okay, so I'll
Aparte de que se vencieron los pasaportes.
No, pero ya los están nuevos.
No, ya han vencido, los pasaportes están vencidos ya.
No, ya no, si fueron de 10 años. Yo los pedí de 10 años, Osman.
Bueno, está vencido. Y la cédula también está vencida.
La cédula sí.
Y por otras causas internas del país en donde estamos residiendo ahora.
So I will start translating before I forget because I lost track of it a bit. So he said he fulfilled as the law requires he needed to be at least 25 sorry 25 to 30 years working, and he did overtime for 35 because he really enjoyed his job as a pediatrician and neonatologist in a hospital where he was working in like in an OBG pediatrician hospital where it's just meant for kids and for pregnant women. And then COVID hit in around 2020, and then his work shifts changed a lot because most of these cases where they were happening in and like the personnel was more needed in hospital for adults, and children and pregnant women were not in such a risk for the COVID. So he started going just once a week to do 9 shifts there to work, and the workload became less and less. And it wasn't really, he said, like he already fulfilled, he was getting exposed to this new virus. And I was constantly telling him that he shouldn't, that I was worried that he would caught it because he was he was more than 60 years old, that he was a person that could be at risk. And at the end of everything, I got pregnant, and I was gonna give birth, and we managed to do all the paperwork for his passport. He thinks is expired, but no, it's been 10 years. It's gonna be for 10 years, so it should still be valid. And they decided to come meet our beautiful baby Eva Luna, and then they stayed because situation in the country was not stable anymore. Like it wasn't stable, but it was worse than when they left. So that's why he's here with his family, and he would like to stay here until the situation gets any better, because he still has his apartment. My parents still have their apartment. They sold everything except the house to come to live with us. And so far, I'm very grateful that they're here, because they're not there enduring all the situation that is just being spiraling down in Venezuela. Let's see that. I missed the part where your father migrated to Slovenia. Yes, so he's here. I'm gonna ask him. Do you have any questions? I can ask him. Do you have any other questions, lovers?
Does he think like going back right now would and for Iris, would that change their like way of living there? Because they don't have any TV, they don't have a working fridge, they don't have a working AC. Most of the furniture is sold. Like, would there be any sense in going back for them right now?
And maybe to other people as well, right?
Yeah, in sense, yeah.
Dice, esta es otra pregunta. ¿Tiene algún sentido volver a Venezuela? No solamente por la situación del terremoto, pero a nivel socioeconómico, ¿tiene algún sentido volver a un país donde, bueno, en tu caso, vendiste casi todo menos el apartamento para venir a vivir acá y estar con tu familia acá? Pero quitando esa parte de vender, de que tu familia está acá, ¿tiene sentido volver? Y si tiene sentido, ¿por qué? Y si no, también, ¿por qué? ¿Qué hay en balanza, no solamente para ti, sino para los venezolanos en general que están en el exilio y que también pues salieron del país por situaciones políticas, económicas y sociales?
No, por lo mismo que salimos todos. O sea, en parte salimos todos por la parte socioeconómica.
Okay.
La parte socioeconómica no tiene ningún sentido volver allá. ¿Por qué? Porque primero no puedes vivir con un sueldo mínimo. Las personas que están allá que dicen que es $1 y es mentira, porque son centavos de dólar.
Okay.
porque el dólar va subiendo cada vez más, entonces se va devaluando más la moneda.
Ok, déjame traducir eso.
Y que no tenéis seguridad personal porque no sabes a quién le vayas a caer mal y
Te pase algo.
te vayan a llevar preso y vas a ser un terrorista y la ley del odio, todas estas que inventaron ellos.
Okay. So he's saying that in some way it doesn't make any sense to go back to Venezuela. Most people left because of the social, economic situation in the country. He said that the minimum salary right now, officially, it's around $1 per month. My dad said it's less than $1 because the problem in Venezuela is that even though we have a currency called Bolivar, this currency keeps devaluating because of the dollar. Everything runs depending of the value, how much the dollar has. So if the dollar gets more expensive, or currency also devaluates, and then that means we need more bolivars to afford $1. And everything is like the even though the dollars is not our currency, everything has the price on dollars. How much does, let's say, let me ask actually that kind of question. ¿Cuánto cuesta, ejemplo, si sabes, no sé, no sabes un cartón de huevo, cuántos dólares son?
Ahorita no. O sea, por lo que he visto, que hay en algunas partes a $13 un cartón.
¿13?
Sí.
¿Un cartón?
Un cartoncito de huevo cuesta $13.
¿Y quién compra un cartón?
Bueno, pero estos son los precios que han dado. Un kilo de carne cuesta $17.
¿Qué?
Entonces,
Miércoles.
el plátano, un plátano no te cuesta, está como en, no sé, la última vez, ya hace meses, estaba en en $10.
Un plátano.
Un plátano.
Alex wrote something.
Yeah, let me read, sorry. Because, I listened to your story carefully, and I just don't think you will get rid of those roaches without military aid from an outside country. Someone completely superior in technology. That I totally agree. Because they must have people supporting them. Otherwise, they will be vulnerable and get removed. And I don't see an impoverished population having the strength to beat that support they built. Yeah, I agree. The problem is those powers usually want something in return. I also agree. Anyway, let me just finish the translation so I don't take too much time from my dad. So he said the devaluation of the Bolivar. He also told me about that because of the devaluation, everything is very unaffordable with minimum salary. Right now, he's telling me that a box, is that how you call it? Box of eggs? How do you say that in English?
A box of eggs.
Costs $13.
I just don't know if your box contains 10 or 12 of them.
I don't know. ¿Cuánto tiene un cartón de huevo? 30 eggs.
30 eggs.
30 eggs for $13.
The same in price.
The kilo of meat is like meat. When I say meat, like cow meat, beef, $17 per kilo. And he said the last time he heard about neighbors buying plátano, which is plantain, it was $10 one plantain. So things are unaffordable, and that's one of the reasons that there's no point of going back if you don't have something to sustain that kind of lifestyle where everything is entirely devaluated. And just because of that, there's no point of returning. But until things don't change, there's no future for the people to just go back and just take over the country and try to make a living once again. Let's read. 1 second. A carton of eggs usually 12, 24, or 30. How are the people feeding themselves? 30 for $13 when minimum salary is 1 is insane. Yeah, I know, I agree. Dice, me están preguntando cómo la gente puede sobrevivir o mantenerse si un cartón de huevo cuesta, un cartón de 30 huevos cuesta 3 euros y el sueldo mínimo es alrededor de un dólar, ¿verdad? ¿Cómo la gente puede mantenerse? ¿Cómo la gente puede vivir? ¿Qué puede pasar? ¿O qué está pasando?
No, no puede pasar nada porque la gente se ha dejado dominar y están ya subyugados.
Ya.
Y por la propaganda y los influencers que se ve por $3 se prestan a lavarle la cara al gobierno. La gente del pueblo, pues, con su sueldo mínimo, lo que se rebusca es vendiendo plásticos, o sea, materiales reciclables, o buscan hacer trabajos de albañilería,
Trabajo
trabajo
físico,
fuera de su formación
académica,
profesional
profesional.
o de la vida. Porque es lo único donde pueden, porque si se atienen al salario mínimo
No pueden
pagado como empleado, por lo menos nosotros como médicos, cuando habían primas, ¿no? Las primas, los bonos y eso, antes que le quitaran los 14 ceros, ganábamos bien y teníamos un sueldo ya con la crisis de los ceros. Teníamos un sueldo más o menos de 400 o 500 bolívares mensuales.
Que el cambio era en dólares, más o menos eso.
Bueno, en ese tiempo me estaba en 20 y pico. 20 y pico. Sí alcanzaba para hacer la compra y todo, pero no te puedo recordar.
Al cambio, exactamente.
Sí, se podía, lo que éramos profesionales.
Sí, podían sobrevivir.
Pero la gente del pueblo en sí, sí se la veía. Y que la crisis se metió con lo de los problemas de la luz, la energía eléctrica, entonces se dejó de pagar la luz. Nadie paga luz, nadie paga agua, nadie paga nada. Entonces ahí te estabas ahorrando por ese momento y podías comer aunque fueran 2 veces al día.
Sí. So my dad is saying that yes, you cannot really survive with a minimum salary when something costs so much. The currency got devaluated 14 zeros. Before got devaluated with 14 zeros. That's how much. 14 zeros being removed.
I thought it was 17.
No, my dad said it's 14. And they got removed from the value of the bolivar back then. He said things if people were professionals or with any kind of academic degree, people still could live back then. But after they got removed from the 14 zeros and the evaluation became like it is right now, he said that right now you cannot really live with that minimum salary. You really can't. So what you do is that you work out of your academical or professional background. Let's say if you work as a teacher and you will have to do something else. You'll have to, say, become a manicurist or a hairstylist or clean houses or do physical labor that gets you something more extra. Otherwise, you won't be able to afford anything. So people, they just sell their stuff, start selling what they have, anything, clothing, plastics, copper, anything they can have their hands off. And eventually what you do is that's how you can survive. And so far I lost track of the currency my dad was talking about, but yeah, it's not living. Let's read the other one. Imagine the privilege we are having. Like, here's some what's a normal circumstance and service-based economy. Oh yes, that's what my dad was saying. Yes, I remember. Thank you so much for reminding me. I have the feeling you understood a bit because you said something that reminded me about what my dad was saying. He said what happened also was that after Chavez and his government took over of the electrical, the water, like all the companies around the water, around electricity, around gas, everything, because everything became centralized when he came in power. Nothing was to a point, nothing became private anymore. Private companies were like the least percentage of a source of economy in our country. Everything became centralized. So he was saying that back then, because Chavez centralized everything to make everything affordable, because everything was expensive and you needed to make things free. Reminds me of somebody that is running New York right now. I'm not gonna say any names, sorry. That one, that like electricity should be free, water should be free. So what Chavez did was he started putting all the services free or very minimum payment, something that it was almost free. So people were saving money in water, electricity, gas, uh, public transport, especially for students. But at what cost? Nothing got invested, nothing got improved. Everything that was there for 20 years kept working the same way. And what's going to happen if you don't invest in anything in your services? Look what's happening right now. Electricity, sometimes you get 6, 8, 12, sometimes a whole day without electricity or water or internet or gas. So it was easier for people back then because we were they in the years my dad was working, making it free, of course, takes a lot of your paycheck. You don't have to pay for those kind of services much. It can give you some room to have some extra money, but at what cost? That after decades of not investing in the public services, then everything just go down to a spiral hole. So yeah. Any question else, baby? So my dad can go. So he's go to sleep. It's midnight. So he's Cinderella. He has to get his beauty sleep. Sorry. What did it say? $1 equals 100 trillion bolivars. Yeah.
I don't have any more questions.
You don't have any more questions? I'll ask one more. About Maduro. Just real quick. Última pregunta. ¿Qué piensas sobre la captura de Maduro en enero y la situación en estos momentos con Delcy Rodríguez y el gobierno de Estados Unidos?
Bueno, que se tardaron mucho en sacarlo.
Of course.
Primero, y segundo, que lo que se nos había pintado, el mismo Trump lo dijo, era que iban a haber elecciones, que iba a haber, o sea, no iban a gobernar ellos. Entonces, dejó la misma enfermedad, pero con otros síntomas.
Okay, so he's saying that I was asking about what he thinks about the capture of Maduro, the fact that Delcy Rodriguez is the president, the current president of Venezuela, and the involvement of the United States. But I'd say that everything was painted, like we say it like that in Spanish. It sounds better in Spanish. But he's saying that he thinks that everything was painted differently. That when Maduro was taken care of, then everything else will fall behind. The people from the Chavismo, everything from Chavez and Maduro will just go away. So he's saying that he thinks that everything was painted by the government, the United States, differently, and yet they're still in power. The Goonies from Maduro, and so far, like it's like changing the disease with different symptoms. So he's saying that he's a little disappointed when it comes to in that sense. I'm gonna ask just one last question.
Alex has a question.
Yeah. Mhm.
y que no estamos felices bailando.
And that we're not happily dancing for Maduro being in jail. Ajá, una pregunta aquí que tiene acá. Dice, so knowing things will still be almost as difficult, but slowly getting better. Would you go back, or do you prefer region Europe you live in more? Well, for now, like we mentioned earlier, my dad was mentioning, and also I mentioned, we still think it's better. We still here where there's certain stability, economically speaking, socially, than in Venezuela. If things can get better, where we can see not just a slight change, but we can see a real change where there would be, oh yeah, my dad said that we would be free elections, where there would be no censorship, where things can be done. Any government that comes after this one will be elected in full democracy with all the right circumstances. Then there would be, if there's some realistic change, then it would be a possibility and an open door for people to consider to go back. Última pregunta con respecto al terremoto. Perdón. papi tiene sueño. Porque ya son las 12. Y está como cenicienta. So my dad's a little sleepy, but he feels 12, but we're gonna cut it now. We're gonna talk a bit about the last question about the earthquake. ¿Qué piensas con respecto a la respuesta del gobierno de Delcy con respecto al terremoto y versus la respuesta que ha tenido Estados Unidos, El Salvador, México y todos los países que han ayudado a Venezuela a salir de esta...
Suiza.
Colombia, Suiza, todos los países que han estado ayudando a Venezuela y que siguen intentando ayudar a pesar de que le coloquen tantos obstáculos? ¿Qué piensas con respecto a la respuesta del gobierno y a la respuesta de los otros gobiernos que vienen a ayudar?
Bueno, la respuesta del gobierno, no hubo tal respuesta.
Okay.
Eso se quedaron en su casa, tranquilos, que a la susodicha llegó el DGCIN. Después del terremoto la buscaron teniendo sus guardias allí de esta forma y se la llevaron de allí para tenerla más seguridad en la casa, para el Palacio de Miraflores. Y no aplicó, ni siquiera por muy pobre que fuera el país, los primeros pasos que tienen que dar para una crisis de este tipo. O sea, no soltó al ejército, no soltó a la policía, para que primero no hubieran desbandado y no hubiera gente saqueando, que están saqueando hasta los mismos policías ahora. Y ella no ha dado ninguna respuesta, lo que ha hecho es reprimir, que ahorita estaba viendo la noticia, que no deja pasar ni a los familiares, porque si no tienen un salvoconducto o un permiso
del gobierno,
con...
del partido.
No, pero con como si fuéramos unas piezas de cambio, con los QR. Que tienen que
Ajá,
tener
un QR.
Ahora tienen que tener eso para que puedan pasar. No está dejando pasar a nadie para los corales ahorita, que hay una zona crítica, no hay ningún enfermero. Ahorita estaban yendo unos enfermeros venezolanos y con médicos que iban para Caracas y los tienen parados en la autopista porque no pueden pasar porque no tienen el permiso. Y van con implementos médicos. El primero que se llegó fue Salvador, llegó
México.
No, México apareció después.
Estados
Pero
Unidos.
Salvador, Colombia, que a Colombia todavía le tienen una parte retenida en el aeropuerto. Y Estados Unidos, que llegó al otro día, pero no han implementado, que ya dijeron que el que iba a manejar es el general del sur, del ejército del sur de Estados Unidos.
Okay.
Y que los que han estado sacando gente ha sido el mismo pueblo, con las manos, porque ni un pico, ni una pala, nada tenían, ni linterna. Entonces han tenido que valerse por la fuerza y por lo que la capacidad y las ganas de ayudar al prójimo sin conocerse y sin saber si es un chavita o no es chavita. El terremoto tenía que haber pasado a donde estaban ellos
Ay,
sentados.
papi, por Dios.
Sí, sí. La gente maligna, porque eso es lo que están es dejando que la gente se muera, porque es un pacto con el diablo que tiene esa gente. Entonces, esos son almas que le están enviando al demonio.
Ay, Dios Cristo. Bueno,
De que existen, existen.
esos son muchas, sí, esos son muchos rumores. Okay, let's
Okay.
start translating a bit. It's gonna be a little dive in. For now, we're gonna just say goodbye to my dad. I'll translate everything. Hopefully, I'll remember everything and still have my numbers here counted of things that I should remember. But this is, we're gonna say goodbye to my dad. His name is Osman Milan. He is a pediatrician and otologist, well, former pediatrician and otologist from Maracaibo, and also a member of the party of Copay, and part of the doctors association from our state, Zulia. And well, we want to say a big thank you for him to be here, because I know right now, even though we're not talking about what's going on with his family, because it's something I feel like it's not the right moment to ask those kind of questions to him directly, of course. He came here just to share a bit of his experience with the new socialism of the 21st century with Chavez, and after his death with Maduro, then Maduro took over, and how the situation has ended, and his experience and his point of view about the whole country. Anyway, we want to say thank you once again to you. Te queremos dar las gracias por estar acá y bueno, gracias por venir y compartir tus conocimientos con nosotros y tus experiencias. Tus puntos de vista con respecto a la situación tanto del terremoto, con a nivel político, socioeconómico y de salubridad en el país. Gracias, papi.
Bueno, de nada, mucho gusto. Hasta la próxima, si la hay.
I say we'll see you next time. Maybe there's a next time. I'll come back.
Y buenas noches por la tarde, por la mañana, según el país en donde se encuentre.
And good night to everyone, depending of the country you're from. So, have a good day from him as well.
Con permiso.
Dale, vaya con Dios.
Bye bye.
He's so cute. Okay, I have to re-summarize everything he said, because he said a lot of things from one end to the other. Oh, the first one. Okay. I don't even know how to start from. Okay, yes, I do know where to start. So my question was, what does he think about the response that had other countries versus the response that had Delcy, the government that is in place right now by Delcy Rodriguez, a president that hasn't been elected, that is just there to be just a piece of a game. So I asked him, like, what does he think about her response versus the response of other countries? He said that when it comes to her response, she did nothing legally correct, internationally correct, which was to release the police in order to maintain the country or the cities that were affected by the earthquake, to control the people to not looting, people not committing crimes, and try to keep the most peaceful situation of something devastating that happened to the country. She didn't release the police. She didn't also release the military. This was one of the first things he said. Military should have been released on it at the first sign of this earthquake. Well, these earthquakes in plural. That, and he also said that about what is happening in Venezuela. You should actually open my Facebook if you can to share it. So where just grab my phone if you can.
No, you can share it here if you want.
Do you have my account open?
You don't need to.
Oh yeah, that's me. Sorry, guys. So I was saying, before I keep forgetting. So my dad was saying that's one, like, the response that she had was not internationally correct. Um, and that alone just says a lot about her government, that it's not looking for the best for the people, for the Venezuelan people. And also there's been a lot of support from other countries such as Colombia, Switzerland, Mexico, uh,
El Salvador.
El Salvador specifically. We were very thankful to the President Nayib Bukele for his help. I think he was the first responder for this. The United States as well. We're thankful for it. And I know there's other countries that I might forget to mention right now, but they're selling help, including Ecuador, that I just remembered just now. People are just sending so many people, just resources, people, uh, workers to help to get anybody out from the country. I mean, from the country, from the ruins of what the earthquake left behind. He also said that this president Delcy Rodriguez, she hasn't been collaborating with.
Sorry, it's just late.
She hasn't collaborated correctly with these other countries that came to help. A lot of the help has been blocked on airports, that have been blocked on the roads heading to Caracas and or the other affected areas like La Guaira. He was talking about a video that he just saw, like they're not letting there's doctors and nurses that are trying to go through an area that is very affected. I think he said Carora. I don't remember exactly where he said, but it's one of the most affected areas that that was hit by the earthquakes, and they're not letting them pass through because they need to like join and being approved by the political party of the Socialist Party that Delcy Rodriguez is running. If you're not with them, you cannot help. So they literally they're making this whole help and donations and everything very hard to people that are still in the country, that are still trying to help directly, because at least that we are not in Venezuela, but we're still managed to get help there through just like, for example, today we with the well, not me directly, because who helped me to manage to get the help today was my brother, who I'm very thankful for my brother for helping us today. The only way we managed to send the donations to Venezuela today was through Cele, which is one of these applications that you have through banks that are still working in Venezuela. People just exchange the currency directly, like the dollars you receive, you exchange it directly in Venezuela.
It's called Zelle in English.
Well, I say Cele to deal with it.
Zelle for
I
the people.
Okay. I'm joking. Well, Zelle. Anyway, I say Zelle. You say tomato, I say tomato.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes, I understood.
So he's saying that's also one that it has been very hard. The government is putting a lot of obstacles for the help of not governments directly, but the help from the people that are trying to still help in Venezuela, that are either from opposition. If you're not in their party, of the Socialist Party, then you're not allowed to help. You need a QR code. So that's what he was mentioning. Like, you need a QR code of approval, otherwise you won't be able to access the areas that were hit. So they're controlling the help. And also my dad said something at the end which it made me laugh a bit, but not in a way that it was funny. It was because it's I think it's the way it's happening as well. For people that don't know, maybe Slivers, I think he knows a bit about this. When Chavez got in power, he was supposed to be Christian, Catholic, right? Eventually, eventually, even now, that right now, the church has a very hard communication with the government. Even the church is to be, neutral and should be respected by any kind of government. The Catholic Church is not respected by the government of Venezuela. They don't care, even though they should respect them. They don't. And that's why a few priests have left also the country, not because it's not just hard to live in, but also because they try to do the right thing for the people of the country, and they start getting everything gets politicized, and eventually they get exiled, including the church. So my dad was saying where I was heading to was what my dad was mentioning. When Chavez was in power, he started getting closer to, we call it, I forgot what they call it in Spanish. We call it brujeria, santeria. So I don't know if you guys know what it means, but brujeria, santeria, it's like witchcraft. But this kind of witchcraft where you have like, you believe in other gods and the devil and such. I forgot to call in Spanish right now because my brain also maybe is a little off because of the hour. But when Chavez, she started getting more surrounded by people doing santeria and brujeria, and that's why there was a lot of, I think, the connection to the church became irrelevant.
Paganism.
Yeah, paganism. Yeah, and my dad is saying that because Chavez was surrounded by all these sacrifices, same as in Cuba, like sacrificing animals. I cannot imagine what else they say. Maybe it's not even allowed to say on YouTube. But anyways, not gonna go too much dive into it.
That's why he stayed in power, you think?
Yes, that's what my dad is saying, that that helps to counter the good energy. The country needs a whole cleanse of a lot of things, not just socialism, but the culture of santeria, brujeria, something that was not as popular as, for example, now. Venezuela used to be a very, very Catholic and conservative country. And with Chavez, everything, even in his meetings, he was having santeros around him, like performing things. It's like, anyway, getting a little out of context, but my dad is saying that he thinks also the government's blocking the help to rescue the people that are still under the ruins of the buildings and houses and residences in Caracas, La Guaira, and other areas that are being affected, is because it's a way of paying the currency to this gods and devil. That you give something to receive something. In this case, sacrificing life. For that's why they don't show any kind of sympathy and any kind of way to help the people, because if you love your people, you just do something right away. You just don't wait. You don't, for example, my dad was mentioning, you just don't put people, help, not just people. I'm talking about, how you say Gasilex in
Firefighter?
Yes. Firefighters from Medellin, Colombia, they were retained earlier today for more than 4 hours. They were still retained when we started stream. I don't know for how long they've been retained. Detained at the airport. Why? To not help the people that are still under the ruins, people that are still trying to survive and trying to get out of this alive. So my dad said, that's why I started smile at the end, because even though it sounds a little skeptical, we have a saying at home, de que vuelan, vuelan. Like, if it flies, it flies. And is a way of referring to the witches and any kind of paganism and any kind of devil involved um, sacrificial rituals.
Mm.
So he's saying that they don't want any good. They just are filled with evil in their hearts, and they just want these people, their own people, to be a sacrifice to.
Alex saying because they're afraid of a coup.
That too. But, and that's also what my dad said, that they'll see, instead of making any kind of statement, and they'll say, I mean, I'm talking about the president from Venezuela, the female one.
The vice president is not even a president, yes.
Yes. He was saying that the first thing that happened, instead of her taking action on what was happening in of the earthquake, having the protocols to be run, international protocols at least, the first thing the military did was keeping her more protected in Miraflores, which is the palace, the government palace in Caracas, instead of having a protocol to be executed. Like, instead of the military go helping the people,
Like
the
they normally
military
do, yeah.
like you normally will send to help. The military, the first thing they did was to protect her in the government palace, I guess, to try to avoid, because all these governments that are arriving and still arriving in Venezuela with help and everything, I think their biggest concern of the to the Socialist Party is that they are gonna try to have like a coup by trying to bring help, and then they just create a coup against Delcy. I'm not saying that's not a possibility. If you think a bit, it could be a possibility. Having some governments, like, let's say, of course not left, but right governments that will, assemble all together like the Avengers, and then they will have a coup and Delphi will be out. That could be a possibility. But if actually governments are coming, including the UN and Caritas and like a lot of international organizations are coming, like, governments are not gonna just start playing like, oh, I'm gonna just have a coup and let's get these people out of the government. That's not really how things work. The first things you have to do, if you're going to help, go and help and get the people out of these situations where they are trying to stay alive after these earthquakes.
Alex had a question still.
Sure. Something I didn't get to answer that. How does taxation work in such an economy? Taxation, huh? Well, one of the biggest advantage that we sort of had was the taxation. Everything, like, it works sort of similar to here to Slovenia. Like, it's not like in the States where you have to make, fill all your taxes, and
it gets automatically deducted from your paycheck.
Yes, everything gets automatically deducted from your paycheck. Everything gets automatically deducted from everything you buy. Everything's taxed. Yes, the tax, I think, well, I don't know exactly how it is right now, but when I left, I think it was 14-16% for everything you will buy. So taxation hasn't been like a big factor and that has been since I have memory. Hasn't been a big factor to any, because it's not, that wasn't our kind of culture like in the States, that taxation is such a big issue, and filling the papers, getting the person, like, everything ready for taxation day, or tax day. We don't have that kind of culture. Everything just was automatically deducted, so it really didn't affect. Of course, it affects our economy. I'm not saying it doesn't. Of course, any taxation affects, especially because with Chavez, tax grew instead of lowering taxes, he increases them. But taxation has never been an issue that made us struggle economically. It's just everything else that was adding up was causing the struggles and the hard and the hard situations for a lot of Venezuelans.
True, but the currency losing value doesn't just affect you, the citizen, but the tax money are worth exactly what they are worth for you, practically making tax being redundant.
Yes. So even though the devaluation keeps happening because everything is um like right now everything's fixed, depend everything that has price or value in Venezuela, everything is based on dollars. um like the whole devaluation or the whole currency or speculation of the currency depends of how the dollar moves. So that's why taxation, I don't think, like I said earlier, it wasn't such a big factor to any for the chaos in our economy. Of course, whoever whoever was whoever has been running our economy, which was these two previous dictators, now the third one, I mean Chavez and Maduro, and now Delcy. I
Their
guess,
their official currency is still bolivar.
yeah, and everything gets taxed in bolivars.
Yes,
But everything gets, you have to find the value of things not in bolivars,
in dollars.
in dollars, even though dollars is not the official currency. That's
And the bills are also dollars. Nobody exchanges them for bolivars anymore. I don't think even they even exist anymore.
I actually don't know. We'll have to ask my friend that one of my closest friends here, she's in right now in Venezuela. She went for vacation and then this happened. I feel so bad for her. I know she's having a fantastic time and thank the Lord her family is safe. But I know this is affecting her for sure because she went to visit and reconnect with her country, with our country, and then this happened in the middle of her vacation. I cannot imagine how it felt. I know she started having an amazing vacations because I was very happy because she deserved it. You know, she deserves to go back home, enjoy home, whatever is whatever she can, whatever she can go, right? Um but yeah, I mean, I will have to ask her if it currency bolivars like in paper is it worth anything, because when I left it didn't, like the paper stopped having value. The paper that had value was either euro and dollars, and right now, even before I left, when I left, and even now, the euro has the same price as dollars. That's how powerful the dollar is in our country. Like not even euro, even though euro is more expensive than dollars. If you pay somebody to say you have, like my dad said, an example, a plantain costs $10. If you give 10 euros, you're expecting to at least get something like something back because it's not the same price. It doesn't work the same way in Venezuela. Dollar is more, has more price, even though internationally it's not.
They just don't have an exchange rate. It's just the same.
Yeah.
Because they just assume it's the same.
It's not because they're assuming. It's because dollar has to be it's the highest currency for them. Yes, but it's also, I think, mostly because how the continent, the Americas work. You know, we don't like none of the Americas countries work directly with euros. I think even Aruba and Curacao have they don't have euro as a currency, even though they are run with the Dutches and Antilles, and even Saint Martin that is with the French, and Guyana that it's with with different, like I can go on with the British, the everything. It's still the Americas. It's run. It's not based with euros. It's mostly they take the dollar as a reference, and that's why I think they make it value the same.
To get back on your question from earlier, Alex, if we think it's ever gonna get better, even though there's a new government, yes, it can improve quite a bit because they have national reserves in other countries that they are not being released to this communist party because they know they're just gonna waste it on themselves. So not when and if, I don't know which one is gonna be first, when and if, Machado comes back and actually takes over. Hopefully, the elections are going to be soon again, even though there shouldn't even be elections again because they already won. Then she can,
something has to happen though.
yeah, she can use all that money, which is like quite a few billions. I don't know how many tens of billions of dollars.
There's a lot of assets that are frozen.
Yeah, they're frozen
all around the country, all the world. So
she can use that money to
you can start over.
Yeah, start rebuilding. It's not a lot. Like she would need $1 trillion at least.
With the damage that's been caused,
all the infrastructure needs to be rebuilt.
Education wise,
yeah, people need to get back into the country.
Health wise,
somehow they need to be convinced that it's worth it coming back to the country. So paychecks would have to go up and all that, you know.
Like a lot of things have to change, but
yeah,
something has to start first, which is in this case new elections, free elections, democratical elections that are overlooked by international organizations that guarantee us with no machines like we had before, no dramatic, real elections, ballouts, not this digital elections that they're just, that's how they keep in power. Anyway, let me read that. It says there, this strategy doesn't make sense. Initially, I thought one of the reasons they are raising inflation was to force the population to use dollars, so they can practically buy dollars from the population. Sadly, often political power is directly affected by how much dollars capital the party in power has. Yes, so no, like the whole reason, I think my dad mentioned, I didn't translate that actually. He mentioned it earlier about the whole thing with dollars and everything. He didn't really say exactly like this, but there's a part that gets it's reference to this. But he mentioned that when you, in this case it affects the whole thing with the devaluation, when you make the people, when you bend them to your will, when you break their spirit, when you put them on the lowest point that you can think of poverty, like socially and economically the lowest point of a person, of a population, people tend to give in. I'm not saying everybody, because for example we didn't, and a lot of people that are in Venezuela are not giving in. They're not giving into this government. But the people that are affected the most, the people that don't know better because they have endured all of this, they when their will is broken, and their will is when they bend everything they believed in just for like a bag of food, for some extra money that the Socialist Party, also that's how they get people into their events. They offer people a bag of food, they offer people money, they offer people not just that, transport. Do you need something? We can help you to get it. You just come to our event, and then you start buying, let's say, loyalty, even though it's not loyalty, but you're just buying the necessity out of people. So when you break people like that, and you don't really need to make them poor just to make the dollar be the currency, you just need to make them poor so they can you can make them go on your will. Like whatever you want to do, they will have to follow, they will have to accept it. And then what I was saying, that when you do that, when you can reach, because they have reached to do that with a lot of the population, even though there's a lot of population resisting, when you manage to do that, you can still have people on your side. And if that's the soft part, even though those people are suffering and they're struggling, they don't know any better because their will is broken.
Yep, like North Korea. They don't know anything about the outside world, right? Small update, by the way.
Yeah.
When we started the stream, I said there was about 900 people dead officially, which was an update from last night. An hour ago, it says 1,430. at least so far. So the number's gonna keep rising. I've heard that there's a 30% chance that 100,000 people are dead, even though that's kind of huge, but it's still 30%.
What is the last question? I can see.
So he said billions sadly doesn't mean much to a nation, even as small as a few millions. I genuinely believe that some of the first things that need to be done after elections are fixing currency value and tax. That's why I mentioned that you need an external military power to change that.
Of course you do. You need to have a like if after you try everything to do it democratically, like democratically,
Democratically.
democratically correct. You also must have some power outside the country that can help you, any kind of support, allies that can help you reach the goal, which is stability. But you cannot reach it if you don't have allies. And so far, that's why still debating about the whole alliance with the United States. But I believe that everything has its price, and everything, any kind of help that or support from allies that is given, either to Delcy or to Maria Corina, everything has a cost. But then again, or democracy has cost us 28 years, I think now, of dictatorship and destruction. So I think any price that we'll put, we'll take it. I mean, as a Venezuelan, I'm talking for myself, and probably from my family, we would take anything, because it's like, I don't know if I can explain this kind of feeling, but it's like somebody has been drowning you for so long underwater, like drowning you and drowning, and you just want to breathe. And for once, when you think you're just like you're gonna pass out and die, somebody is letting you breathe one more time. So it's that kind of feeling where we finally can breathe, and we will take anything as long as we can breathe again. And we don't know when that's gonna happen, honestly. And I know that without external help, we won't be able to reach it, because the kind of corruption that's taking a toll of Venezuela, from not just the government itself, from Cuba, from Iran, from the Ayatollahs, from Colombia, and I'm talking not Colombia as the country, I'm talking about the guerrilla from Colombia. All right, I'm not talking about the country. From China, from Russia, like when all of that is involved, you need to have external help. There's no way you're gonna get out of it alone.
I was debating with people on Facebook when Maduro was taken out, why the United States even had to get involved. And I'm like, people are like, people from the United States, especially the president, they just want oil from Venezuela. That's why they're doing this. And I'm like, people from Venezuela don't care if they lose oil, if in exchange they can get their lives back. Oil, gold doesn't matter anything for them if they can at least have food on the table, you know, and a roof over their heads. If that's the exchange, they'll go for it. They don't care.
When you don't live in the conditions that we have lived, and something that we haven't actually mentioned, even though it's gonna be almost 1 a.m. Here in Slovenia, I was gonna say, when you don't live in those kind of conditions, and you don't see the struggle, and not just the struggle, I think it's the pain you see on others, inflicted on others, because the situation, healthcare wise, politically speaking, social and economical, when you see the damage and you can feel it because you're there, you're experiencing it, there's nothing as heartbreaking as that. And I think that's one of the things that have made me very grateful. And I think that's one of the reasons I also turned to Christ for guidance, because I still do, I'm not saying I don't, but I had so much resentment in my heart. I'm not saying I don't have anymore. I still do, because of the damage that been caused to my country, to my family, to my friends. I can't go on. I can't go on. I lost friends. They have died, they've been killed. I've seen people getting tortured. I've seen kids die because they don't have anything. Their parents can't afford anything. Can go on with the list, but when something like that happens, I think it creates so much resentment in people's heart, that I think, I'm not saying, like I said, I don't have it, but I think it has made me a stronger person when it comes to challenges in life. Like, if I manage to endure so many other things, I think I can manage, let's say, after moving here to Slovenia. I remember at first I was like, I don't want to learn Slovene because the language is so hard, and I don't want to start over in another country. I just want to move to somewhere I can start easier, because I just want to start in a place where I can feel that I can do a better job than in here because of the language, right? And then I thought about, like, after I struggled with the language for a few months, because and of course the cultural and social shock here. I think one of the main reasons that I continue and I decided to stay, besides the country's being beautiful. I love Slovenia. It's my second home. I love it. I don't care if Mika is not very his livers is not very nation like patriotic when it comes to Slovenia, but Slovenia and I are like besties. Like, I love this country. I will do anything for this country. And I'm not saying that means that I love more Slovenia or I love more Venezuela, but I need to be grateful with the opportunity that this country has brought me. Not just that my husband is from here, and I love his culture. I learned to love the language, and that I sometimes struggle, and I say all these horrible things sometimes, but I'm so grateful for all the opportunities I had here, that how can I not love the hand that has pulled me out of that water and helped me to breathe again. Like, I love this country. So I was thinking, when I was struggling with the language, is that if I endure being kidnapped, I'm just giving you just some, and I'm not joking, I'm maybe smiling because it's sort of funny for me right now. Slivers doesn't get that kind of humor. We do. It's a Venezuelan thing, I guess. But we
Maybe
sort
not.
of. No, it is.
Maybe not, because Alex saying the same thing.
But for me, it's like when so many horrible things have happened for us, it makes us sort of smile and laugh a bit about our past that has been awful. Like, I think about, for example, I remember we were together, we were dating still, and I will give you this horrible experience I had. I had many, but this is one that I just gonna bring up. When I was working as a doctor, I tried to save one patient, who at the end ended up to be the relative of a firefighter that was working in our district where I was working, and he had political ties to the mayor of that area. And I tried to save him. But he died. Before we did the translation, the transport to the bigger hospital, we tried to save him, and I was a doctor taking care of him, and he just passed away. Then the family members wanted to kill me, so I had to hide for like a day or two, and there. My director, thank the Lord, my director from the hospital, he protected me. He went and called the police, but then the police was a relative of the person that died, so I wasn't safe with the police either. So the only thing he could think of was hiding me in the hospital, which I did hide for a day and a half, give or take. And then I have to find a private transport that picked me where I was hiding in the hospital, so I could take the transport directly to my city. And after I arrived to my city, I hugged my dad, cried my heart out because they wanted to kill me. They were looking me for the hospital everywhere just to kill me, because one of them was with the police, said it was gonna shoot me. So, uh, they I managed to put a lawsuit in with the medical party in my state. My, thank the Lord, my godmother, she was the president of the organization, so she helped me. The lawyer from the party was my professor from anatomy from university, so he said, no matter what happens, I will protect you no matter what. I felt protected because I had the people that were willing to protect me, but otherwise police were not going to protect me. They wanted to kill me, and the firefighters also. So I said to myself, if I went through that, and I remember my director, he said to take a week off, wait for everything to cool off. My godmother went with the party there, with a party there with to solve this problem directly with the firefighters, with the police, and if something will happen, they will be prosecuted by the lawyer that was mentioned. It was my professor. So at the end, after a week, I returned back to work, but still scared because I was scared something will happen to me, and I was living in constant fear for a while until I finished that work, because I had to work for a full year for the government. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to take any kind of masters or postdoc. You have to work for the government for a full year or 2 years, depending on when you where you worked. But for me, it was a year. Some others were 2 years. Anyways, if I went through that, I think I can deal with Slovene. So, I'm sorry for laughing, but it's our humor.
It's fine.
And if I went through that and many other things that I can go on, God, there's even worse things. But anyways,
let me read what he said.
Yeah, sure, go on.
So, I wish your resistance would look towards the UK. I am here for the past 10 years, running away from my messed up country, Romania, and I can tell with sincerity that as broken as UK seems to be, they still have a lot of influence and power. Now, what will UK want from you? That's for your government to negotiate. I mentioned UK instead of USA because nowadays everybody seems to want their help, and I don't know how well intended they are anymore. I know exactly what you mean with the things you saw. I know because myself, broken one day, left everything behind and literally got to the UK with my last 1,000 pounds in my pocket. No contact, no home, and no job. And I'm still much better than I could ever be in Romania. It's the humor of people that seem so much bad, they just laugh at all of it.
You know, I would say this. One sec. I have to interrupt you real quick. I think I know why I get them.
Yeah.
Because for us, Romanians are like brothers.
They have the same...
Because of the language. So it's like they are the Latinos of Europe.
They have the same language group.
Yeah, they are from the Romance language. So we call the Romanians the Latinos of Europe.
Yeah, they could be.
Yeah, okay, go on.
The pinnacle of joy is crying, and the pinnacle of sadness is laughter.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's very accurate.
And because the communists ruined our country so bad.
Yeah.
Well, we're still waiting for that here.
Don't say those things.
Don't wish, I know.
Don't say those things. Don't say those things. Don't. You know, I remember. I need to say this because it's funny. I mean, you'll get my humor. So I remember Sliver saying, I've heard it from other Slovenian people, but I'm referring to him first because he was the first one who said it. He was like, if we continue, that's when I came. That was 8 years ago. He said, you know, if things continue, like I'm gonna make his impression with the mouth and everything. If things continue No, yeah. No, I do the sexy voice. Sorry. My bad. But babe, let me do it like closer here. But babe, if we continue on the same way we're going here, politically speaking, in Slovenia, we're gonna end up shortly like Venezuela or Cuba. Like we're just heading to this communist situation like in your country. You know, like something has to change here in Slovenia because I'm trying to even do the Slovenian accent by the way. Something has to change.
Stop it.
Something has to change because we're struggling so much, and I don't want this country to become like Venezuela, you know. 8 years later, I'm still waiting for the country, even though people have taken bad decisions with their elections. They're in their they can do it, you know. The not like people the Slovenians can vote for what they want, and it's democratical, it's like that, and I respect it. I still think they have taken wrong decisions, but it's not my place to say because I am not Yugoslavian, and there's a lot of things I would like to learn more.
Slovenians have taken wrong decisions since they've been since we've been independent.
Anyways, I was saying, Sliver was telling me this, and I was like, looking at his face of like, what are you talking about? You know, like, what are you saying? And then eventually, that was before he went to Venezuela, right? Then he went to Venezuela the first time. And then he had to see how the country was actually. I'm sorry. How the country was actually running. He left the country because I know he was such a different person. I think he was the same. I think Venezuela created a huge impact in his life. But he had to experience. He had the full experience. He had the good one and the bad ones.
Well, it's exactly like he just said. It's because we're a bit detached from the reality of how bad things can get. Things even in Slovenia surely got worse. Maybe now you can afford less you could in 2015.
For sure.
But it's a far cry from a country collapse.
Right? That's what I mean. Like I remember, I remember me like Sliver saying, "Babe,
enough with the impression,
babe,
no?
with this paycheck, like this is getting so bad." I'm like, how bad again? $30, $50 a month, $100 a month. Come on, give me something. Anyway, I'm joking a bit because that's my humor when I talk about politics. My humor is very sarcastic.
4 years ago, we could survive with 1,100 euros. With the 5 between us, now it takes 2,000.
Yeah.
So that's already the double.
Maybe not 2,000. I think 1,500 would be enough.
When your parents came, we survived only with social help.
No. Yes and no. Remember, I was receiving for a full year after Eveluna was born. I was receiving 400 euros, and those 400 were just going in food. I was the one paying for the Eurospin. I mean, for the food in general, due to care of everything else. Yeah. But yeah, back then you had like 1,000 plus the 400 I had, so it was like 1,400. We could afford cover everything. But right now, maybe we need 2,000. But if mostly, it's not because of the food. I think it does. It's more expensive. I'm not saying it's not, but I think
everything else.
I think it's mostly the gas and the electricity. How much it has increased the electricity since I've been here.
It's insane.
And the gas. Like when I came here, I remember. Even food, like food.
8 years ago, gas was €1. Now it's 170.
Mm-hmm.
And electricity, we didn't even pay 70 euros per month for it. Now it's over 130 monthly.
Or 150.
Sometimes 200.
Yep. And for example, I remember when I came here, because I remember specifically because I was trying to learn the language, so I started reading this magazines for Tush and all those other stores, and for food and everything. And I remember chicken was costing 3 euros and 30 cents the kilo, and I was like, oh, that's so. I remember I was saying that's expensive, and then now I see how much it is now. And like, yes, things have increased for sure.
When I got to the UK, I was paid with £1,200 for an office job in IT.
Mm-hmm.
They were paying me with the minimum salary possible per economy, and we still saved for a house in 5 years. Right now in the UK, you cannot pay all your bills, just the bills with that amount. But we can still afford most of what we could afford.
Yeah.
How much you're getting paid now, though? That's the question.
Has the salary still the same, or has it increased?
For him, it probably increased. I mean, I think he's been in the UK for quite a few years now.
Yeah, but remember the UK right now, it's not in a very stable situation.
No, that's mostly because of the illegal immigrants.
Yeah. That's another topic for another time.
And we're gonna not end the stream, but we're gonna go off the stream. I'm gonna let the stream run with the donations up the whole night, probably until the morning. See if anyone actually joins.
Why don't you just maybe reboot the whole video? You know how to do that? Like keep it running from the beginning to the end.
Which video?
It's on the stream.
Yeah, we'll have to download it and then put it on a loop.
Yeah, we can do that.
And those things are gonna cover everything up. The overlays.
It's fine.
He has 6,000 per month.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, both of them.
Oh, both of them. Okay. Before we go, even though it's very late for us, I wanted to discuss because we haven't talked about it ever, maybe on the videos of my YouTube channel. We can talk about a bit about your experience, why you think Venezuela make a big impact to a point that you are willing to make a video to help others in Venezuela, even though you're Slovenian and you're only been there twice in your life.
For 3 weeks.
Or
3 weeks each.
A month and a half, give or take, in general. What impact you so much in both ways? Impact you in a good way and in a hard or sad way, and make you want to do this today for the people that are struggling in Venezuela.
So when I came to Venezuela, and that was the second time I'm gonna talk about everything in general, I saw how how ridiculous it was, because the first thing when I got out of the airport the second time and I carried 9 liters of wine in my suitcase, one of the officers there asked if I was having oil in the suitcase. I'm like, why would I have 9 liters of oil in the suitcase? What for? I'm like, no, I have.
Thought you were a bachaquero.
Yeah. And that wine was meant for the wedding because it was the one that we made here, right?
Yeah.
When we had the actual wedding, people actually appreciated the wine so much it ran out in like 5 minutes. Everybody was like, is there more? No, sorry, that was all there is. That's all I could carry with the rest of the luggage anyway.
What did you bring in your luggage? You can tell everybody.
Oh, well, deodorants, pads, I believe, some type of candy and chocolates.
And something else you're forgetting, very important.
What is that?
Toilet paper.
Oh yeah, and toilet paper. That
And-
was very hard to get in Venezuela back
And
then.
soap
And soap, yeah.
and shampoo.
So yeah, that's what
He
she
brought
yeah.
head and shoulders, because I still remember. He brought head and shoulders. I remember he brought some soaps that we don't use. For me, it was so shocking culturally speaking, because our soaps are like bars. Like, I'm not saying we don't have liquid soaps, right? But normal liquid soaps, we use it for washing the dishes, not for washing ourselves.
Yes.
So when he said, "Oh, I brought some soap," he brought some bars, because I asked him, "Hey, can you bring some Dove?" Because I still remember
Dove.
the brand. And he brought Dove, the brand, right? But he also brought like liquid one. And for me, it was so shocking. I'm like, who's gonna use that? Use it? And he's like, that's what we use. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just so. I don't use any bar. I use it only for the face. But body wise, I got used to it for the gel here. But for me, when I saw it for the first time, like,
Anyway, that's one of the things. The first time I came to her city, we got at the airport. Everything was normal. The airport's quite a bit far away from the city. So you saw some abandoned farms in the side, but as soon as we got into the city, the smell, like I was like, what is that? And when we got in further, I could see piles and piles of garbages everywhere and people going through those garbages to search for food. There is no company that would actually take care of the garbage.
there
No.
was. It was they couldn't take care of everything, because there was, like I mentioned earlier, with normal services there was no investment, so
Yeah.
they were having the same vehicles from 15 years ago.
Yeah.
On the same conditions with no investment, and they were trying to take care of the whole city
So what they did was burning garbages in the middle of the city, and that's where
all the time.
that's where the smell
The
came
smell
from.
came from, yeah.
It was awful. That's the one of the two worst things, I would say. Apart from people going through the garbages, obviously, and then we go to the good things. People were actually super nice there. Everybody were laughing when I was cursing at Maduro. It was hilarious.
He was our source of fun and happiness.
Yeah.
He made a huge impact. He says, "I don't know why you guys love me so much." I will tell you this, guys, and I will say this, and I love my people from Venezuela, but I love you guys. Los quiero mucho. But I know, because my mom can testify for that too. My friends, well, my neighbors and my friends, like the first thing they ask me is not, "Hey, how are you?" No, "How is Slivers? How's he doing?"
Yeah.
"I'm so happy. You guys look great on that photo." I'm like, "Oh, thank you." But if I put a photo alone,
You look great. Okay.
it's fine. But if I put it with him or with my daughter, now he got replaced by Eva Luna, our daughter. Now he's like, okay, you Slivers. Now everything is Eva Luna. Like, they don't ask us, "How are you?" They ask us, "How is Eva Luna, our daughter?"
Can I finish answering my question?
Oh yeah, sure, go on. Sorry.
One time we got into a close what you call that? It was like a restaurant, sort of.
Where?
The
¿Qué, Mundo Gelato?
Monte Gelato, yeah. And
It was a pizzeria and ice cream shop.
Anyway, there was a waiter, super nice. He spoke a few words in English, and they said that his paycheck was like $5, $5 to $6 a month. And I was like, that's not normal, right? Do you guys do tips here? And he said, yes, of course they do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, here's $5 extra as a tip. don't give it to anyone else. And I told that to him personally. And he was so happy. I could see it on his face, but like, just don't give it to anyone else, because normally tips are just divided between people working in the same place, right? I just wanted him for that to get for himself, and his expression was priceless. A pastry shop also that's in the same area had one of the best cakes I'd ever tried. I wouldn't imagine, like, in a place like that they would have these kind of cakes, especially because they they always have these dry cakes that they have, right? But no, they also have the ones that are made out of cream and all that, but they have to keep it in a cold place. They were better than anything I've ever tried here. And the people there also very appreciative, very nice, and so clingy in a way. Like,
I don't say
no,
that.
I don't know what's the other word though.
What do you think?
Oh, Mickey, you're so nice to see you again. How are you? Oh, and the people at the barber shop, like half of them were gays, were like, "Can I cut his hair today?" It was funny.
That's a funny story. But anyway, it's not called clingy. It's called being overjoyed.
Mm.
Every time he was going to the pastry shop, it was also like a restaurant too. They sell also food, not just sweets and cakes and stuff. Everybody there, not just this waiter from this other pizzeria, right? But the people that were working in this other restaurant, they were so happy every time he was coming in, and not just because he was a guest and he will consume there, but it was this joy of seeing him because he was very special. He was very special to everybody there, and that's why he makes such an impact to everyone there that he met, especially the barbers from.
That was funny.
It was so funny because I remember my dad was going to that barber shop. That's why I decided to go, because it's okay, right? It was expensive barber shop, but it was a good one.
Yeah.
They work very nice, and he wanted a haircut, and he said, "Oh, I'm gonna have it here." I said, "Sure, go on, let's go." And the barbers. The lady there was just one lady for the cash machine. Everybody else of the barbers except one man was gay. All the others were gay.
And the one that wasn't gay cut my hair.
Yeah, the one that wasn't gay cut his hair. But all the other barbers were arguing. They were doing paper, scissors, rocks. So to see who's gonna first.
And it's rock, paper, scissors.
Well, whatever, you know what I mean. They're gonna do para le people. And they're gonna do like who's gonna wash his hair.
Yeah.
And then who's gonna cut him.
Right.
And then at the end where they were doing the whole thing, right? Paper, scissors, whatever. And the lady from the cash machine.
Cashier.
The cashier lady. Para le people. They were she sneaked out, right? And then she just grabbed him and just laid him there and started washing his hair. And everybody's like, "Oh,
how dare you!
How dare you taking it?" But it's so funny because he didn't understand Spanish back then, so he wasn't really aware of what's happening. It was me who was watching everything from afar, and I was just laughing. I was trying to not laugh so hard. I was like, "This is so funny." And then when they decided who was gonna cut his hair, then the guy who wasn't gay just said, "I'm going to do it." And then I asked, like, I told him what he wanted, and I think it was the most relaxing haircut he got in his life. He fell asleep because he was doing not just his hair, but also like face.
I was used for a haircut here to be done in 15 minutes. That guy took over an hour.
And that haircut, I think it was his bare head. Like, I think it's your best style.
Yeah, nothing came close since.
Just my mom, the closest.
Sort of.
Yeah.
And the last thing that doesn't really affect how view on the world of how Venezuela was, but is the way I affected your mom and dad. That's
You can say it's fine.
so. Her mom and dad were separated since they were 15 years old. Since
Since
she was 15 years old.
back then when you went, I was how old?
28.
28. So
Yeah.
it was a long time, yeah.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. But they were still living together because separating would be financially impossible, right? Selling the apartment just to get two new ones, impossible. So one day I came there.
Not just that, my dad didn't want to get a divorce.
Of course not. I came there and her mom just started cooking and said, "We're gonna eat now." And I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna sit down at the main table in the dinner. Sorry, dinner in the dining room."
At the dinner.
In the dining room, yeah. And I was just waiting there alone. Like, when are we gonna eat? We have all the food. So everybody wanted to go eat in their own room. And I'm like, no, that's not acceptable. We're a family now. We have to eat together. So I asked my mother-in-law to join me. Then I asked Annie to join me. And then where's Osman? Oh, he's also in his own room, right? The father.
Yeah, we're supposed to bring because we all of us ate in the room. Like my mom has her room, dad had his room, I had my room. I always ate on the computer. So for me, eating with my family wasn't a thing anymore.
And then I go to his room and asked, "Hey Osman, are you gonna come and join us?" And
I think my dad was in shock.
He was just, "Go where?" To the dining room, of course, so we can eat together. And then he came slowly, like, what?
My mom said, I remember it was such a shock because I was like, I told my mom while he was gone, I'm like, what is he doing? What are we eating here? Like, I mean, I don't mind eating on the table or anything, but my dad is gonna come. He's not gonna come eat with us.
Yeah.
He's not gonna sit on the same table you are. And she's like, I know. I don't know why he's going to tell him. He's not gonna come.
He did anyway.
And he did anyway.
We did sit in between and they were sitting on the sides, but it still happened. And ever since that day, their whole lives literally changed because of that. And they started talking more. They started being more, friendly towards each other, even though they're still arguing a lot. But now
they're like brothers and sisters that argue so much.
Yeah, now we eat lunch every time at the same table here.
Yep.
And now they argue if we don't.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Now they start eating like alone, like they go start ahead and like,
why are you coming?
Why are you guys coming?
Lunch is ready.
Lunch is being ready. We've been eating, waiting for you. I'm like,
yeah.
If somebody would tell me this 15 years ago, that will happen, I will laugh.
No way.
So hard. But he made such an impact in our lives, so I don't think it was just
it was God's intent.
It wasn't just one way. It was both ways.
It was just God's intent. Yeah. But anyway, we're gonna go to bed now because it's late.
Yes, but we're gonna do what we said we're gonna do. We're gonna just put this on a loop and we're gonna leave the whole
if I can even download it.
You can.
Well,
should be no problem.
We'll see.
Anyway, we're gonna leave it open for any kind of more donations. We're gonna keep sharing our story of what happened what happened to us when we were living in Venezuela, what made us leave, what made us stay here in this country in Slovenia, how the whole political social situation affected our lives, looking the bright side and looking also for the sad parts of the whole story. And we hopefully that if we keep putting the video on loop, then we will be able to get more donations so we can send more help, not just to our family, which I'm very happy. And hopefully I will be able to share the news very, very soon because I'm waiting to see what happened to them, what's gonna happen with them today because of the time zones. Like I won't hear for them until tomorrow. And tomorrow morning for them is sleeping time. I don't know where they're gonna be sleeping or anything like that because they lost their home. My dad's family, his cousins lost their home, and so we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. We will keep updating everybody about their situation. I'm gonna try to make a video for my Instagram. If you can put my Instagram information there, you can put it.
Sure.
I'm gonna put another video. It's in Slovene though, but it has Spanish subtitles. But maybe just for support because I decided to start making these videos for yesterday with Caritas. We made a video, so we will have some information on social media about collecting funds in Slovenia for Caritas, so Caritas can provide direct help to Caritas in Venezuela, sorry, and also for my dad's family, for his cousins. I would like to be able to see what if we can help them in any other way during this horrible times.
Yeah.
I think hopefully today we'll be able to, well, at least me. I hope I can sleep better because, well, haven't slept since the whole earthquake. I haven't been able to sleep properly, rest properly, even though I've been home resting from work. It's something soft in my brain, in my heart, in my everywhere in my soul, and that's one of the main reasons tomorrow I ask Slivers to be able to go to church because I honestly have been praying very hard. I'm sorry for getting emotional again. I've been praying very hard, and I know maybe some of you don't believe in God or don't believe He exists, or are angry towards Him. In whatever position you do, you are in your life. Sorry. I just want to share my testimony. I know right now the only one that can help me to, not just me, but everybody that can help us is God with His love is the one that can help you go through all these adversities, all these trials that you get in life, all these evil that is around the world. And I just honestly just want that not just my family, but my the people that I love, the people that are still in Venezuela, the people that I don't know yet, that I haven't known, but other fellow Venezuelans are struggling so much right now that has lost their home, such as my dad's cousins. I lost their home, lost family members that are able to go through that support. Put your faith in God because He'll help you. He'll help you to lift you up. Because I will say this part from the Bible, but it says, "Blessed are the meek, for theirs is their kingdom of heaven." And I just hope that we manage to be able to help maybe more families and more relatives. My mom told me that she's trying to contact one of her cousins that apparently her apartment, she didn't lose her apartment yet. Hopefully she won't, but her apartment, like the whole building cracked. I forgot to tell you that. Her whole building cracked, and they were how do you say that word? Like getting out of the building. They were, how do you call it?
Escaping?
No, not just escaping. They were like getting out of the building, not just themselves. They were I forgot that word. They were getting, not rescued, but getting out of the building. They were forced to get out of the building. No, it's anyway, they had to leave their apartment behind. because the firefighters and said that the building is not stable, that they can't, even though it didn't fall out entirely, they evacuated. There you go, that word. There you go. Evacuated. Evacuate. Or evacuated. Evacuated. How you say it again?
Evacuated.
Evacuated. Sorry. Yeah, there you go. Yes, my mom told me that her cousins were getting they got how is it again?
Evacuated.
Evacuated. There you go. They're getting evacuated from their apartment because of the crack. Like the building apparently like broke in half, but it didn't fall, so the apartment's still there. But they told him that they cannot go back and stay there. She told me that her another cousin, but not from my mom's side, from the dad side of the cousins, they took them to to their home. So right now the cousins are staying with this other cousin. And we don't, my mom says she's trying to get in contact because of the problem with internet, with the problem of electricity. She's trying to get in contact hopefully today or tomorrow to see if their apartment, the building gave in and fell, or if the building's still there, if we can help them in any way for whatever they need right now, because right now they don't have a home. Hopefully the building will be able to not will be able to be um repaired in some way, that people will be able to inhabit the building. And
Yep.
I guess we'll see. Hey, tomorrow hopefully I'll know, and
Until then,
I'll let you know. For now, I think we should leave this on loop, hopefully, and we can maybe get some more help, so we can keep sending any help. I'm planning, or what we're planning to send more help on hopefully Monday, Tuesday, the latest. We had to send the help today earlier because, like I mentioned earlier, my dad's cousin was in the morgue. For the people that didn't hear the story before, and that's why we had to send the help today, because um, it's chaotic, and right now everything you have to do it with money, and not just resources but also money and everything else. So
they can't apply for a refuge status in Slovenia because that doesn't work here.
No.
It's for special people only, I believe. And for other people that have Slovenian ancestry, they can apply for repatriation, but that's about it.
Yeah.
That's about it.
For example, my parents were able to come, not because I'm Slovenian, for example, but they only managed to come because we have a daughter, and Mika's, like, Sliver's parents, they're gone. Rest in peace.
Yep.
And he doesn't have direct family left. So if something happens to us, we don't have anybody here in Slovenia. So that's why we managed to bring my parents, as we call it, family reunification. That's how we managed to bring them. But otherwise, it wouldn't have worked.
Yep.
But yeah, anyway, we're gonna leave this video again on loop. Hopefully Slivers will be able to do it.
We'll see.
And tomorrow,
have a good night, Alex, and see you later.
Yeah,
thanks for joining the stream.
Thank you for joining the stream. Thank you so much for the support. And well, we're gonna leave this video on loop, and hopefully we'll be able to collect more any kind of donations, so we can sell help between Monday and Tuesday, once again, to either our family or to somebody else that we can help directly in this hard situation.
Good night, Alex.
Thank you again. Anyway, let's say goodbye and just say some thanks. Come on.
We already did. We said goodbye and thank you for being here in the stream and for your donation.
You guys, Europeans, are so cold. I cannot say it that way.
Say it any other way you want, then. But you've been repeating yourself. That's what I'm asking.
It's not that. It's we just want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for any support you guys can give us, so we're able to give back to the people that are still needing it in Venezuela. And if we can help more of our family members, it will be thanks to you. And thank you again for being on the stream. It's been entertaining and interesting and a mix of everything. Thanks once again. And of course, your platform. I forgot to thank you for your platform for helping and inviting me for your live stream.
You're welcome.
All right, guys. We'll see you hopefully next time or on the loop.
Good night.
Good night.